I'm Nick Von Walkerbarth, and you're listening to the VonDubCast. If you don't want to listen to me gap in the intro and you want to skip right to the interview, skip about 20 minutes. Before you do, please consider doing one of these couple things that really helps out the show. Following the social medias for the VonDubCast, subscribing, and leaving a review. If you could do those things, that'd be awesome. Also, give me a subscription on the YouTube channel. That'd be great too. All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode number 85 of the VonDubCast. Apologies for my voice. For those of you that are in Slave Lake, Alberta this weekend celebrating the Luke and Ames Memorial Golf Tournament, you'll probably understand why my voice sounds like it does right now. And yeah, what a weekend it was. It was so much fun to get up here and see so many people that I haven't reconnected with in so long. It was so much. It was just reunion after reunion all day. We got here Thursday night, and I did a podcast with an up-and-coming musician from town, really close to their family. It was nice to see him again. I hadn't seen him since he was just a baby, and I was a little kid at that point, and it's fun to see how far he's come. And then ended up Friday night, went and met alumnus of the podcast, Travis Malbluff, who you guys probably all heard the episode with, is one of the more popular episodes I've done so far. He's a new father, so I got to go meet their new baby girl, and she was amazing, and it was really fun to see them. And we ended up having a couple drinks on Friday night. It got a little bit more out of hand than I thought it was gonna. So when we woke up to golf at 8 a.m. or 9? I don't remember. It was 7:15 pickup time. I had already been up for about 2 hours, already puked about 3 times. I sat in the shower, just on my ass, sitting in the shower for probably 20 minutes, regretting every decision I'd ever made, waiting for that pickup at 7:15. But we got through it, got a couple holes under our belt, got iced, almost puked again, and then it was off to the races, and we just had another great day of golf and reuniting with people. We did our round in the morning. We had a hole set up on 11 with lots of guys from work, and then everybody else golfed at 3 for the second round, and we just got to kind of watch everybody come through, say hi to people you haven't seen in years, hand them a beer, see what they're up to. Things started to get pretty sloppy around that point. I think they were getting sloppy in the morning, but it was so much fun. I forgot what a real Slave Lake kind of party is, and what kind of people are there, and just what makes me love this community so much. It was so much fun to just bullshit and catch up. And also another piece of it, was fun to talk to people at the podcast, just because I haven't seen a lot of people. And like I've mentioned a couple times, sometimes it feels like you're doing this into a void. Sometimes you put a lot of effort in and you don't really hear much back about it. Every once in a while someone says, hey, I listen, it's great. But it's usually pretty far and few between compared to the effort that I put into it. But it was so nice this weekend, just person after person coming up and like really giving me some really good feedback on what they like and don't like, and just to know that they're listening, knowing that they're supporting, and all the messages of keep going, you're doing great, like I really love it, I love it at work, or I love it on my drives, or whatever it is. That just means a ton to me. And what's really cool is I remember talking to them a couple months back when I was up for a wedding, talking to some people, and they were saying, yeah, I kind of just listen to the episodes where I know the guests. If it's someone from town here, I'll listen to it. And I, that's great. I want everybody to listen to how they like to listen to, right? If you want to just pick and choose which episodes, that's great. If you want to listen to all of them, that's great too. It doesn't matter. It's free. But what was cool was to talk to those same people after that conversation. And then they said, you know what, after we talked, I started, giving some more a chance, and hey, I really like them. I think some of my favorite ones have been the people that I don't know. And that means a lot to me too, because, it's a lot to ask of somebody to give up their time to listen to you. There's so many options out there, so much great stuff. I mean, just go onto YouTube. You can spend 10 hours there, right? And if people are giving me that time to listen to me, I appreciate that. So however it works, but I just love to hear that this is working, and that people are enjoying what I'm doing, and that this is not all for naught by any means. So yeah, no, if that was just 4 minutes of me explaining why my voice sounds like I just got punched in the throat by a fucking Mack truck, but I digress. So just a wicked awesome weekend, tons of fun, and a really great episode we got for you guys today. So today's guest is Todd Ness. He's a returning guest on the pod. He had done one with me quite a few months back now, and we just had a great time. We didn't really know each other, just knew that he was a comedian. You guys have probably heard me talk about how much I love stand-up comedy and just the art form, and how much I respect the people that do it, because it's one of the most scary, risky, wild things that anybody can do with their life, and to dedicate themselves to it, I just hold that in the highest regard. So it was really fun to talk to him and kind of ask on my podcast questions, and he's such a silly goose. And I knew he's a silly goose because I love listening to his podcast. Nessin around. It used to be 20-minute daily episodes. Now that COVID's kind of come to an end, he's going to be back on the stage. He's moving it to once a week, a little bit longer episodes, but they're still so funny. He's just such a goofball. Anyways, so the first time I had him on, I knew he was a goofball, but I didn't know how comfortable he would be to be a goofball. And I'm a goofball too, so I didn't know how much I should let out and kind of let it go. But we still had an amazing time, an amazing conversation. And then we've been bullshitting back and forth, texting, sending a few memes, whatever it is, how people communicate these days. And I asked him on again. And that one was this one that you're about to hear. This was a whole different ball game because we already had that little bit of comfortability. We had already kind of met each other and done one of these before. And we just went off. I was having one of the worst days when we recorded this. I just had everything that could go wrong went wrong at work. I was just so overwhelmed. I was not feeling like I was in the right headspace to do a podcast. I was very worried about it. I was starting to, double take and second guess myself. Oh man, I've been really looking forward to this one. I really value comedians' time and I don't want to waste it. And I hope this goes well. And then as soon as we started, before we even hit record, Todd had me just laughing. And then, some people's demeanors are just whatever, their aura is just contagious. And he put me in such a silly goose mood so quickly, and we had so much fun for this hour and a half or whatever we talked for on that one. It was amazing. I don't think he realized how much I needed that in that day. I don't think I realized how much I needed that. But I hope that comes through to you guys of just how much genuine fun we were having. I haven't laughed as much in that hour and a half that you're about to hear then that was the first time in a long time I laughed. I mean, it feels funny after this weekend of just being around some of the funniest people on planet Earth here with 19 beers in them on the golf course. I got to see a lot and laugh a lot over the last couple of days, but until this weekend, I wasn't really seeing that many people or getting too many laughs in, right? It's been quite the time. I know I always use these little intros, outros as a little bit of therapy for myself and kind of let you guys know what I'm going through. And this was a great weekend. I really enjoyed it, but I was really struggling before that. Just life is really tough. It's really hard to balance everything. I got all the balls I got up in the air, and I was, getting a bit to the end of my rope. I was burning the candle at both ends and starting to really feel the fraying and feel the consequences of that these last couple weeks. And I've tried, keeping with my tools and what helps me. But it just hasn't quite been enough. And so I really needed this kind of this weekend. And, I like being honest with you guys and letting you know where I am. And hasn't been great as of late in many ways, which is funny because I hate even saying it because I don't want to, I want to be honest and I want to talk about how I feel with all this stuff, but also there's so much that I'm happy about. And as soon as I put this mic on and I remember what I'm doing and how much I love doing this, it's hard for me to really go into those places of what I'm really struggling with because every time it's coming out of my mouth, I'm just thinking but look what you're doing. You're chasing your dream. You're doing this thing you love. Why are you even bitching about anything? Just be happy kind of thing, which is great. And I wish I could do that more. And maybe when I'm not trying to talk about it, but I'm sure maybe I'll get one of these solo episodes in here in the next little while, maybe break down a little bit more in detail what's going on and kind of how I'm working through it and just let you guys in because, it's everybody's got something they're working through and it's always complex and there's always trade-offs that you're going to have to give for what you want to do and how you want to operate. And I think it's kind of cool for people. I think a lot of people don't talk about that. And I think it's kind of nice to do that on the solo episodes, just kind of talk about what I'm feeling and how I'm going through it and what my plan is to get out of it and to get to a better place. And I hope, that maybe there'd be something that people could learn from that of maybe if they could take some of those tools and apply them themselves and maybe it would help them. I don't know, but it can't hurt. So that's what's going on with me. This is a really great episode. And this one's also special again as well, because a big piece of the podcast was I enjoy it. And it's a very selfish endeavor. Don't get me wrong, but I also want to help other people. And, Todd is an amazing comedian. And I really, truly say this. I think if you go back and listen to the intro I did the first time I had him on, I talked about this of just, I listen to a lot of podcasts and I listen to a lot of comedians and I listen to, thousands and thousands of hours, and you can kind of get a sense of who has that certain thing and who doesn't. I really think Todd does. I think Todd is going to be a huge comedian in a couple of years, and you guys should get in on the ground floor. I say this all the time. The funnest part of watching these journeys is getting on early and watching them when they're, not globally known or even, maybe even not that well known. I mean, like I said, Todd's a pretty well-known guy around these parts, but I think he's going to be well-known all over the place pretty soon. So go check him out. And as I'm saying that, this is what's changed now, is now COVID's going away and they're about to get back on stage. So for the first time, I had a guest on where I can actually help promote something. And that is important to me because that's a big piece of what makes a podcast successful or not. You want it to have impact. You want to be able to help people, right? Like I want Todd to be able to come on. You guys hear this conversation and then you see that he's coming to Yuck Yucks in Calgary the weekend of August 13th. And you can see him do what he loves and you can hear him talk about the journey of what he loves and then go see him actually chase that dream in real life. And I think that's awesome. And then also he's going to be in Edmonton at the Yuck Yucks in Edmonton, I think the 27th and 28th weekend maybe of August. I mean, go online, go to the Yuck Yucks website. You'll see all this. Follow Todd on social media, not just to see his dates. Like he's a real funny follow. He does a really good job with his Instagram, really makes it, puts a lot of effort into it. You can tell he cuts up his stand-up clips. He's putting those up. He's sharing funny stuff. He's making videos. He's not a waste of a follow by any means. So definitely go there and you'll find his dates. But I really hope that we can sell some tickets for him, right? Like I want people to hear him here, go, holy shit, this guy's hilarious. Maybe check out his podcast, Nessin Around, and you'll see just what kind of rapid fire humor he is capable of, right? Like he's just a ball of funny. Like it's hard to explain, especially because my brain is fried from all the alcohol this weekend and I'm struggling to find my words, but he's just like unstoppable. His funny comes from a very pure place and it's very abundant. And I feel like there's a lot of comedians that have to really build up the funny and search for it and almost concentrate it into bits and stuff. And maybe those are the more introverted type of guys. And then there's some people that just run on it and their engine burns funny. And he's one of those guys where he just, whatever situation he's in, I'm sure it's not 100% of the time. I'm sure he has his down days too, but you can tell that that's there. And that is so much fun just for me to watch and just to appreciate because, you know, not a lot of people have that. And like I mentioned earlier, it's very infectious. And I feel like somebody like that you know that's what you're going to get out of him day in and day out, right? Listen to his podcast or going to see him live or whatever it is. Listen to him as a guest somewhere. You know you're going to get that. You know you're going to get that hit of, you know, feeling good and having a few laughs at some silly things that don't, you know, I mean, some of it has impact. Some of it doesn't. Some of his funniest bits are just his advertisements for fake shit on the podcast. Like, oh, today we're sponsored by Sticky Notes. And he goes off for 10 minutes on Sticky Notes and why he's sponsored by them. And it's all off the cuff and all just pure comedy gold. And I just cannot say enough about this guy. But having said that, I want you guys to go see him. So check it out. Go on, get some tickets, go see him after, say hi, tell him you heard him here. That would mean a lot to me. You know, I'm sure Todd's going to be on plenty of times in the future. And I don't know if those days, I think maybe the later one in Edmonton, I might even be there myself. You might be able to come watch the show with me. But, you know, like I really look forward to the day where a guy like this can come on and talk about his dates. And I know that we're going to show up and there's going to be, you know, at least 10, 20 people that heard him here and go to support and it starts to grow and help people like that. And then that is just one more step forward for more people to want to come on. And then it's, you know, not me asking for a favor of these people to come on to my podcast and give me, you know, their time and their audience and that it's about me offering that to them. And I think I already am in some sense. I think I offer a certain interview style or whatever what you want to call this that they can't really get anywhere else. And I think I do have value to that and I do value myself and what I'm giving to them. But when you can add to that something tangible that helps them in whatever they're chasing, right? If I can put a few eyeballs onto them, get them a few followers, whatever it is, whatever metric you want to look at, that is a big piece of what makes a podcast successful and what kind of gates where you can take it is that exact thing. So this is one of the first opportunities where I have a real thing in front of me of, you know what, here's an episode. I'm really proud of it. I think Todd is really someone you should go follow. And here's the dates to do it, right? Like, and it's tangible. We can actually put some asses in some seats, and I hope that we do. And I hope I get a text from Todd after one of these weekends. He said, hey, I got a bunch of people came out and said they heard me on the podcast. You know, like that would just make my life. And, you know, so if you guys could do me that favor, if you like stand-up comedy, that was a stupid thing to say. Everybody likes stand-up comedy. Either you love stand-up comedy or you just don't realize it yet. It is the most pure form. And I think it's intimidating because, you know, it's dark. It has this certain taboo around of what a comedy show is. You know, it's drinking, it's heckling, it's all that. Go once and just see what it is for yourself and you will be hooked. I promise you. Go see somebody funny. Like go see Todd or go see, there's so many people that are coming. What I recommend to people is you'll go once. You're going to have such a good time. You're going to laugh like you've never laughed before. You're going to say, holy shit, why have I not been going to see stand-up all the time? Why am I wasting my time watching this shitty Netflix comedy that has like 2 genuinely funny things in it when I can go and laugh for 2 hours straight at the funniest things in the world, the people that dedicate their lives to trying to make people laugh, right? So go check it out. And then if you do enjoy it, wherever you are, if you're in Edmonton, pick your favorite club, whether it's Yuck Yucks, the comic strip in the mall, whatever it is, and give them your email. I know this is blasphemy. You never want to give your email to anybody, but if you don't mind an email every couple of weeks, they'll just send you the lineups that are coming up and just pay attention. Oh, you see a comedian that you like, go see it. Because if you can start building a relationship with that comedy club and knowing the people that are coming in and, taking away not the stigma, that's not the right word, like the fear, I guess, of going to a new thing and trying a new thing. Once you're used to it, once going to the comedy club is something you've done, 2 or 3 times and it has no intimidation anymore, and you just go have the pure enjoyment of that laughter, I promise you it will switch some things around in your life. It will be like, I can't even explain to you. And I'm going to blame all the alcohol that has fried every thought out of my brain. Why I can't even pull words out of my head right now for that. But, I hope you guys really come out and you support and you go keep an eye on Todd, because I think he is just going to be something special. I know I've said that a bunch over the last 2 intros for both episodes now, but I just fully believe it. And I'm really excited for, 2, 3, 4 years from now where Todd's, selling out big shows and I can say, yeah, no, I called that shit, right? Like, look at this. I'm not lying about these things. I'm genuinely believing them and I want them to achieve good things, and that helps everybody. Rising tide lifts all boats. So, I don't know, maybe I'm just in a sentimental mood after seeing all my friends again and really having a weekend like this, but I'm feeling refreshed. I'm feeling like I can go out and battle a little bit more. Got the wedding coming up for my sister soon. Really excited about that. Getting out to BC a little bit. It should be really enjoyable. I've hopefully got enough episodes now. I might slow down on releasing the 2 weeks just to make sure that over the wedding and when I'm out in BC, I just have one release every week, and I have enough now that I can do that. But as you know, I might get antsy and just start releasing episodes double up again like I do. So we'll see. There might be just one episode. There might be 2. Got some really great ones. I know I say that every week, but I'm proud of all of them, and I've got some really great ones in the can. Have one with a 16-year-old little wonder child from the UK. He is so smart and so intelligent. Just blew me away at the conversation. I had my opportunity to sit down with a rabbi who was absolutely amazing, Rabbi Akiva. He was so intelligent and just loved the way he looked at the world. And I learned so much in that conversation. It wasn't a long one, but it was packed and just, one of those conversations that stuck with me for days. I've got this one with Todd. What other ones do I have recorded? Oh, just did one this weekend with Hunter, who I talked about. Hunter Mwellum, a great little artist, up and coming. And he's got a really great outlook on it. So mature for his age. I actually saw his parents at the golf tournament. I had to say that to him. Like, man, I was blown away by the maturity that just is dripping off of this 18-year-old kid. Like, what the fuck is going on? How did you do this? When I was 18, I didn't even fucking know left and right. Like, it's amazing. It's great to see. I really enjoy it. So, great episodes coming up. Thank you guys for all the support. Really feeling the love lately. And if you could, do me that favor. I mean, if you're doing any favors, go see Todd and go follow Todd. Fuck me. Who cares about me? Go help him. He's the guest. But if you're really feeling favorable and you want to pass this show on to a friend, share one of these social media posts for the show or for an episode you like, maybe just keep an eye out for any episodes that maybe you know a friend that enjoys podcasts and they maybe like one of the topics that we talk about, one of them, just sending the show over to them and just say, hey, you might like this. No worries, no pressure. Just check it out, right? It doesn't matter. That really helps the show grow. Following us on Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, all those things. It all helps it shows guests that, it is a serious platform that people are listening to. It allows for different things for like the algorithms and how many people get to see the stuff. It all has impact. I've spoken ad nauseum about social media and the data and all that. And you guys know my whole feeling on it, but it does help. So if you could do that, I really appreciate it. If not, no worries either. I'm just glad that some people are listening to this and getting something out of it. It fills my heart and I really have a great time doing this and I'm never stopping ever. So that's just how I'm feeling today. I'm feeling powerful and excited about this podcast. So sorry about my voice. I know I sound like a cat somehow got locked inside of my voice box for about 20 minutes and just went to town on her. But that's the way of the road, Bubbles. That is the way of the road. All right. Well, you guys enjoy this episode. Like I said, go see Todd. Go follow us all on the Instagram channels. Do all that stuff. I need a nap. I'm going to go sleep in my truck all the way back to GP and make my girlfriend drive because that's what kind of bag of shit I am at this moment. Full transparency. You guys get the full honest take this morning, like you do every morning. All right. Okay. Stop recording, Nick. You've already gone way over this intro limit. Be better. All right. See you guys. record on this computer. Beautiful. All right, you ready?
I'm ready, dog.
All right, we got a very special fan favorite guest in the building. His second appearance, Mr. Todd Ness. How you doing, brother?
Oh my God, dude. Second appearance. I'm honored. I'm honored.
Well, I
didn't even think I would live this long.
It's just because it's such a hard podcast to get onto that you just thought it'd be years and years, right? That's what I'm picking up.
Hey man, don't sell yourself short, okay? I'm saying I'm just glad I'm still here.
Very, very true. Everyone needs to remember that in the back of their mind. Just be happy to be.
Just be happy you're here. What are you whining about, huh? Are you alive?
That's true.
You did it. You killed it. You killed it.
Yeah.
Did you do anything today? No. Did you probably get worse? Maybe. But you're still alive, and most people aren't.
That is true. Most people aren't alive.
If you're just constantly, they always say don't compare yourself to people. I say only compare yourself to people, because if you do, you realize most people are dead, and so you win. You should feel good every day. You did more today, even though you probably got worse than most of the people.
Yeah, I agree. I've said that for many years. Actually, I think, like you mentioned earlier, the wisdom from your grandmas, I think she's just telling that. Always compare yourself to dead people, right? That's the line. That's what everybody's got to remember.
Yeah. Like, I mean, this whole thing about, self-esteem, feeling good about your, even have a purpose, follow your dreams. It's stupid. It's stupid. Just be alive and you're good.
Yeah. That's all there is to it.
You beat the deadies. Yeah. They can't follow their dreams.
Well, shit. I didn't think we'd be getting this deep into this type of topics, like the real nuts and bolts of life this early in the pod. But hey, we're fine. Dude, we're doing it, baby.
I'll bring up dead people at the beginning of a podcast, in the middle, and at the
job
end.
Interviews.
My LinkedIn profile talks exclusively about that. It's on my brain right now. I don't know what it is.
Hey, well, I think that's just the program everyone's taking in. Just death everywhere. It just seeps into those nooks and crannies. But speaking of, following your dreams, how's it feel to have things opening up again? Get some dates on the books. You feeling fucking cloud nine or what?
First of all, that was an incredible segue on your part.
Thank you.
You're a professional podcaster.
I am.
You steered us from just a random, really nothing conversation back into, why we're here.
Yeah.
Why we're here.
That's what
that was expertly done. And the fact that I shouldn't have pointed it out, because then it ruins the magic that I pointed it out. So we can edit this whole bit. Right. 3, 2, 1, cut right there. Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah. It's great to see things. It is actually, and it's funny because last time we did this, we were still in this phase of nothing's going to open. Everyone's dead, like I said. Mm-hmm. And we're finally at the end of this. And what's funny to me about Alberta is we went from, this is the craziest whipsaw of 3 weeks ago. The news was India and Alberta are the worst places in the world for COVID. Mm-hmm. And then we beat it. Dude, we beat COVID in a long week, 3 days. We fucking beat it somehow. I don't know what happened, but we somehow crushed it. And then they're like, dude, not only did we beat India, we actually passed the US. And guess what? We're doing Stampede. Calgary's we're doing Stampede. We're back open now. And they're like, you know what? You wear your mask for 4 more days just because you want to, and then throw them in the garden. And I was like, how did this happen? How did we swing so quick?
I don't know. You tell me, Todd. You're the smart one on this podcast. I'm the fucking dumb one. I'm here to learn from you. You tell me.
I'll tell you what it is. This is what we figured out, and it has nothing to do with vaccines. This has nothing to do with Bill Gates and because he's injecting us with the chips and all that type of stuff,
right?
And this whole Delta variant, whatever, dude. And the Earth is round too. There's a Delta variant and the Earth is round.
Yeah, get real, guys.
Yeah, you know where that Delta variant came from? The mysterious trails I'm seeing behind planes all of a sudden. Isn't it
silver iodine
strange? Do you not think it's kind of strange that COVID ends and then immediately you start seeing chemtrails again?
I don't know. I don't want to put my tinfoil hat on, but there's some questions that need to be answered there, Todd. I'd say.
So this is how we beat it, was that what everyone figured out, which is something I've been practicing for years, is when you walk by someone, this is pandemic or not, this is just life. Mm-hmm. When you walk by someone in a grocery store and they're coming towards you and you go by them, you exhale as you walk past that person. The reason we even had transmission is because people have been inhaling as they walk past each other, and then they got it, you got it. But if you can just practice for the rest of your life, anytime you're near a person, you just exhale. Whatever they have, you blow away their germ, and you literally can't get it then. So I think more people have been practicing the exhale technique.
The Ness effect.
That's what got us through. And I'm not gonna put my last name on it. And if I'm not asking for like a peace prize or whatever. Like I don't know who.
If they give you one, who cares? But you're not asking for it.
Not the reason I'm bringing it up. I mean, it's just a technique that's been, passed down through generations, and that's how you beat it. Just blow. That's really to blow people. Blow people.
That's the slogan. If Alberta would have put that slogan out 3 months ago, we wouldn't have even had to go onto the news as, on the same level as India. We would have beat it months ago.
You're right that we could have had, even if they put out a slogan that should just blow us back to normal. Blow us back to normal. That's what we did. People blew each other back to normal. It's a really good thing you have a set path and you know what you want to be, because I think government would be scooping you up right now if they heard the type of shit coming out of your mouth right now. They just, we got to hire this guy. He's got the whole thing figured out. No, they don't like it because they don't like that. They don't like it because what is their money in? Pharmaceuticals.
Fair.
What is their money in?
Blowing people. There's a little bit of money. I've heard a thing or two. Right.
Some people make a lot of money off
the
that.
Right people.
Most of us are you're blowing for free out there. So
that is true.
The government doesn't want it. The big pharma.
No,
big pharma doesn't want it.
No, they've been against blowing people for fucking years, decades even. Big pharma bastards. Yeah. Well, I think we might as well just end it right there. I think we solved it all, right?
I mean, we fixed one world issue. Bring on the next one. What's the next issue we want to tackle?
I have no idea. I'm so locked in. What's the issue? I think everyone's all up in arms. I'm trying to think back. I think there's something going on in baseball. The balls are too slippery. People are hating the refs in hockey. I mean, this is just sports problems, but I mean, we can try and solve those too. I think if they just put out.
Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I want to hear from you.
Sorry,
I talk way too much. No,
I already talked too much.
I insist, Todd. Todd, I insist.
I'm sorry. And I didn't even want to bring this up. But since we're talking about, world stuff.
Yeah.
There's a hole above Australia.
No. Get out of town.
Yeah, it's been there for like 30 years.
No.
It's not new. This didn't just happen.
Hole in the sky?
Yeah.
In the space?
Yeah.
Is that where we launch rockets?
It's a sky hole. No, this is the dumbest thing. They have a hole in the ozone layer. So all the, sun goes in there. We don't even use that to launch rockets. Stupid. Obviously, launch them out of the place where there's a hole already.
Duh.
3.
It's going to save you on fuel economy for sure.
That's 1. Exactly. Mm-hmm. And just move Australia. It's an island. Islands are floating.
Yeah.
They don't just move shit. Why is it even so far away? This is what I'm saying. Why is it so far away? The trip to go to Australia is a pain in the ass because of how far it is. Push it closer to something.
Yeah. To anything. Just closer to anything. You just we need access to our Australians. And that's the thing. Yeah. I think, but it kind of makes sense because my favorite people in the world are all Australians and they keep them just locked away from us and they only get a little bit of time. It's like an IV drip. We get a little burst here, a little burst there of Aussies. They let them go in groups of 20 or 30 and they go, run through the Europe or somewhere and just cause mayhem and get people drunk. And then they go back to their little fairy tale land. I'm not even sure Australia is real. I've been there once, but I still think it might be fake. Have you seen that conspiracy theory? Australia's fake?
Yeah, I've been on that for a while too, because you're right. There is definitely these, there's Australians, there's people who claim Australianship.
Right.
They've come up with an accent that they all,
Sounds fake.
Yeah. This is a place we actually talk like this.
Come on. Is that real?
And guess what? We're all into the exact same thing. Bungee. We all like to bungee jump. You're like, dude, how does everyone in your country, like everyone bungee jumps?
Yeah, isn't it pretty flat?
Get to school. What?
And isn't it pretty flat there? Like, what are they bungeeing off of?
Dude,
kangaroos?
That's what I'm saying. Like the story is so strange. It's
it doesn't add up.
A lot of cultures are brought together by their shared customs when it comes to food or just beliefs in general. It's like, what kind of country is the number one thing? It's like, let's bungee. It's like a test to see, like, are they going to believe it? And then we're like, and that was British, by the way, I'm sorry, but
it's all the same to me.
We're all like, yeah, we do believe it.
Yeah.
All right.
And here's one more thing that just occurred to me.
Yeah.
All these cultures, right? Canadians, Americans, there's a mix of the whole bunch, right? You're going to get some good, some bad. I've never met one bad Australian. And that's where they went wrong. They're trying to throw this out and throw them out into the world. You got to throw a few assholes in there just to throw us off the trail. Because if you just throw out all these beauties and, the funnest guys you'll ever meet, I don't trust it. I don't trust it.
I met a bad one time.
Oh, really?
I met a bad one time.
Oh.
I was at a ski hill.
Uh-oh.
And I'm not trying to throw around stereotypes, but I was at a ski hill. And I went up to the top, and there was a chalet or a chalet.
A chalet.
Whatever they call them. Mm-hmm. Chalet. Come on in.
The chalet.
Yeah, come on in. You want to have a drink? Do you want to have a bit of a bite?
A VB?
Sure. We'll have a bite, right? And I go in. Right. Anyway, I get chicken fingers, 6-piece chicken finger meal. Now, normally, I'm not the dude who's like going to be counting chicken fingers, right?
You're not that guy.
I'm not like that. I'm not.
When you're paying $14 per wing or per strip.
Yeah, you get where I'm going. Like, I'm not a chicken auditor. That's stupid. I can't waste my time on this. Auditing poulet. Come on, like, right?
Chicken auditor got me. That was tea out the nose.
It's not my job. And so, yeah, no, I do remember. Like, I bought this chicken 6-piecer, and you're right. It was like $29 something Canadian. At least. You're like, what the fuck? Yeah. And then it had 5. And I remember I said something like, "This only has 5." And this chick, dude, she'd been. The problem was she'd been at high altitude for too long at the chalet.
Yeah,
I think it was
hadn't got a bungee in all day.
Dude, so she hadn't bungee. This is the thing. She didn't realize that by working at the chalet, you don't get to just bungee off the top. There is no bungee. It's a ski hill.
That's what got her into the job in the first place, but she didn't know.
Exactly. So it really wore on her. I mentioned like, this is only 5. And I don't even remember exactly what she said, but it was something. I remember the tone was nasty. And it was the first time I had a negative Australian experience. Because you're right. The other ones are all amazing that you mean. But she was like, fuck you. Yeah, don't count them or something like, yeah, close enough. Yeah, close enough. Really?
I'll tell you when it's close enough. Did you pay for it? Did you put the $30 down for this 6-piece meal? It's not a 5-piece.
How about I pay you close enough? Huh?
Very fair.
It's just, I didn't want to get into my chicken beef on this, but
chicken beef. You never want chicken beef. But in fact, not only is that a slap in the face if you get 5 out of 6 fingies in a meal. But if one of those fingies is on average half the size of the rest of them, that doesn't count. You got to give me 2 half fingies if you're going to give me one, right? Like, I want 6 equidistant. Is that even a word? I don't know. It is right now. That's what I expect in a 6-fingy meal. And if you're going to give me 5.5 fingies, I expect another half fingy, and I might ask you about it.
Okay, so and you use the term fingy. Is that specifically just for chicken?
Chicky fingies, yeah. Or do you? No, it's. I never. No, actually, I would refer to my fingers. Fingies. Okay, so, fingies have been in my family forever. I don't know where it comes from. I'm just noticing right now that it's not universal.
Do you say that around girls?
Well, I don't usually talk around girls. I just kind of clam right up and get sweaty. But I mean, if I can get a word out, I'd say it. I'd feel confident throwing a fingy out. Maybe think about what I said there.
To a female human lady.
Oh yeah.
You would say something after already working up the courage to speak to her. Yeah. You would say something like, do you ever get a fingy?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Whoa. That I actually have a 67% success rate with that exact line right there. So before you go throwing shade, maybe try it out. Try out a fingy.
All right, dude. I'll try it.
All right. Well, staying to the topic of food.
Yeah.
I was listening to your podcast. Amazing. Just to stop for a quick moment and suck your dick for a second here. I've never had a person on the podcast that I've had that kind of response from. I've had 5 different people mention after you came on how much they love the podcast, how they listen every day. And I'm giving you the compliment, but I'm taking all the happiness from, because like, that's all I wanted when I started this podcast, was to show people that I like and have an impact. And that was so cool to see. And I think that's just I think that speaks to your podcast more than anything. Anyways, before I'm even going to let you respond to that comment, because I know comics love being complimented in person. They just eat it up. I was listening to an episode and you were talking tacos and you ranked them: burritos, tacos, soft, hard shell. You did the ranking. I thought it was pretty well done. I had a few caveats here and there, but you're your own person. I can't say anything, but you left one off the list, and it's going to change your world. And before I start, I know this is privilege, and I know that, not everybody has access to this play I'm about to throw out there.
I'm nervous. Yeah.
If you have the resources to try this,
okay,
and you've got your home taco kit, you've seasoned it how you want, you got all your fixins, and now you've got a decision in front of you: soft or hard,
right.
tough. And I can't remember I think you said you don't mind the hard, but it's just too messy. You can't do it, right? I think that was that's where you landed.
If this is what we're talking, when it comes down to the soft or the hard shell, and my stance on this has been, strong since the beginning.
Yeah.
Is that obviously the hard shell, if you get one of the new technology ones that they've just come out with because
flat
of laser
bottom
printing, they've made it possible where they have the flat bottom.
Oh,
that's more convenient for, yes, I get it. It sits upright. Yes, it's easier to pack. And if you have to leave quickly, you could place it down and then, run out.
Come back later.
You're right. If you had to fight someone, if someone broke in you put that one down, fight them off, come back, it's intact.
Right.
Fine. I get the flat bottom respect for the advantages of that, of being able to place it.
Right.
The round bottom hard shells are bullshit because what are we doing here? It doesn't stand up. It doesn't sit down. And then you bite in and the whole thing shatters. The whole thing explodes, cracks form through it. And so you get one good bite and then you have a grenade of corn dust that goes off in your hand.
100%.
And it's everywhere. And it's
a murder scene
everywhere.
It's a sex murder scene. There's sour cream, there's salsa, it's all over the place. It's in your hair, cheese, right? It's a goddamn horror show. But let me hit you with this one, Todd.
All right, I'm listening.
You take your soft taco, you lay her down, you swipe some, sour cream, whatever you want on it on one side, you throw your hard taco inside of that soft taco, you wrap the soft taco around. Now you have the perfect scenario on the outside of the hard, in between the hard and the soft taco. You go with all your easy things, your sour cream, your salsas, the things that really fill the gaps, and maybe even cheese if you're feeling risky. Then you now have the full fill. You can even overfill, because this is another issue. If you want to really fill your hard taco, she's spilling out the sides, you bite, but that gets caught by the soft taco. And of course, first bite, it disintegrates in it, but it's still held in by the soft taco. So you get the taste and the crunch of the hard taco, but the stability and the confidence of a soft taco.
Okay. Yeah.
Let me see your thoughts.
My initial thoughts are that I really like it. I like the innovativeness of combining both the worlds together. My secondary thought is, well, why do we even need the hard shell in there anyway then?
It's the taste for me. It's a taste and texture. I love that crunch.
You like the crunch,
but same thing. You get one good crunch, and now it's a fucking goddamn horror show.
Yeah,
I hate
like
that
the crunch. I do like the crunch. Okay, listen.
Next time you got to try it out.
I'm open-minded, and the next Cinco de Mayo. So Cinco de Mayo, 2022 to 22 Toto. What is 2022 in Spanish?
I have no
day.
Deuce.
Yeah, you know the numbers.
I know the numbers. Of course.
Uno, doso. So Cinco de Mayo, doso, zero, doso. Oh, shit, I'm good at Spanish. I will try it. I'll try it. So you're doing hard on the middle, soft on the outside. It's almost like what I'm doing is getting an insurance policy on my hard taco that's going to catch all the debris. So there's still debris. We acknowledge there's still debris.
But I'm simply to a much lesser extent. Yes.
Less debris, and I'm catching it in the other food.
Right. And what I've found is that on average, your soft taco is just maybe it'll give you about an inch to 3/4 inch of leeway on either side of that hard taco. So you get time for spillover, right? I found that it not only does it chase the eating experience, but also what you're able to do with that taco and what kind of toppings you're able to bring in. It really takes that to the next level. And you can, you might need to eat 2 or 3 soft or hard tacos, but 1 or 2 of those combo tacos and you're filled right up, because you can do it right. You don't have to piss around eating 16 tacos just to get a full ton. Yeah.
No, listen, I hear what you're saying. And I also want you to know it's riddled with privilege as well. That's a point
100%. That's why I had to take a point of personal privilege before I even ventured in there. I knew I was going to get just pitchforked on over
point of personal privilege for you, because I understand what you're saying, but this is like we're having a car discussion and you're saying, hey, look, I like the Lamborghini, I like the Ferrari. And what you're coming to me with is like, get both and park your Ferrari inside. No, put your Lamborghini inside your Ferrari, the horsepower of the Lambo, but you don't look like a douche because it's surrounded by a Ferrari. And I go, that's a great idea. But you're in this situation where you're able to buy 2 supercars. So you're out here, you're doubling up. You're literally doubling up your taco cost. Almost.
I know. And tacos aren't cheap, and they're on the rise too.
People keep talking about ground beef. At these prices, yeah. The per pound. That's how they get you to those They tell you, hey, here's the per pound amount. So you think that's all you're paying, right?
Yeah.
Then you take it over to the till, and it turns out you're holding 3, 4, 5 pounds.
Bastards.
This is $24 of meat.
And do you reweigh when you get home to guarantee that you got what you asked for?
No,
me neither. Never have.
What the fuck?
But I'm sure there's somebody out there that does. I guarantee it.
Yeah, just asking for a friend.
Yeah, exactly. Fucking tacos. Oh man. And I'm also curious to ask just about the podcast itself, because, you know, it is, I don't know. I find it is such a unique experience. I feel like I listen to a ton of podcasts, like way more than I ever really want to admit to someone. You talk about talking about fingies to a girl. If I even mention the amount of podcasts I listen to, it's game over, right? Like I got to keep that shit on the down low.
Right.
But having said that, like, how did you come up with the idea? I'm kind of curious about how the podcast started, like, and where you got the idea from it, how it's evolved since then. And then I've got some more maybe inside baseball questions for it once I get the initial story about how it's working, how you do it, and how you keep up with that pace of, dropping them all the time like that.
Right. Well, I mean, for anyone, that hasn't listened to it, it's basically like my format it's just me. So it's me alone.
Yeah.
And I did that because, I started this off in November. So anyway, we're in the middle of COVID, right? And I'm like, I need to have a creative outlet.
Right.
I love having something to do every single day. And I was like, well, okay, so it's going to be me alone just because I don't have, there's no one here. Like, I mean, I do it in my house. I have my studio set up. So it's me by myself. And then I like the freedom of that too, because then I was like, I can do it whenever I want. Yeah. If I get inspired and I want to do it right now, I can run up and do it, that type of thing. So yeah, it was me alone. And then I was like, well, I have to figure out what format I'm going to do, because it is difficult to just talk by yourself, right? Like, what are you going to do? And I realized that it's so hard to do. And, the guys that do it alone, it's like Bill Burr does his alone, Dalia and Theo. And somehow they do long episodes. They're able to do an hour. Like, I think, Burr does like an hour and a half. And I was like, I don't know if I could do that. I don't know if I can talk, at least not in the beginning, until I work up that muscle for an hour. So I was like, what can I do that's different, by the way, than what they're doing too? So I sort of do bite-sized episodes, which are 20 minutes long, because then it's like, it's just something you can listen to every day. It's not a huge commitment. You don't even have to push aside your other podcasts that you like to listen to for it. So that's why. And I was like, 20 minutes is easy to bang off. Yeah. And then I can kind of just talk about whatever comes to my mind that day. So that's the general format, is basically daily podcast, 20 minutes, and that's it. And and it was all audio for a bit. I'm starting to do
the video
now. And video was the same thing, because I was like, why would I have a video? What is interesting about seeing someone sit and talk by themselves? Like, you're a psycho. I'm sitting here talking by myself. But then I realized people really do like to have a visual thing. And even though for podcasting, most people are still going to listen on audio, even when I listen to podcasts, 90% of the time, it's all audio. It is nice to have that video element.
For sure.
Go a clip on the podcast.
Yeah.
So that's the general theme. And it's just goofy, man. I just talk about stupid, silly shit, and I make it up because I realize, like, there's no rules and nothing has to be real on it. And it's just me goofing around for 20 minutes a day. So that's basically what it is.
Yeah. And I'm curious to, like, how planned out are they? Because they're just, and again, I know you'll probably not want to hear the compliments just fired at you, but like, it seems so dialed in and so put together. And so, those 20-minute episodes, there's so much fun. Like the last per minute in them are so high. It seems like, I'm curious how planned out, like, do you have like a rough outline and then you just vibe when you're going, or do you record it a couple times and like find the beats of it and then nail it down afterwards? Or is that just one shot and just whatever comes off your dome on the day? Like, I'm so curious what kind of effort goes into them, because they just seems like you have a whole crew of producers there, but I know you do all the shit yourself. So I'm curious what goes into it.
The truth is, I have 700 people working for me, and I get
they must be very short.
Yeah, and it's illegal. Like, I pay them way. They don't know what minimum wage is, and I pay them way below. And I get them to each write a word, and they put it together. And then I just show up and, dude, I just mouth the words, and they edit the whole thing. And I'm like, I don't want to put the effort, I will sit down and I'll have like my bullet points of things that came up. Like, if anything came up during the day and I'm like, oh shit, I want to talk about that. Anything I saw in the news or a funny video clip or whatever, I'll just make a note. And then that's pretty much it. It's not planned out any more than that. And that's the nice part with 20 minutes is I'm like, I can just go. And if I have, like, let's say 5 different bullet points, I just start talking about it. And then sometimes it will evolve and I'll find a nice tangent and a nice lane to go on with it. And sometimes it just dies and I go, all right, let's do the next thing. But that's it. I just kind of think I have a couple bullet points and I write them down and just go. And normally I get it in one shot. There has been a few
I bet,
where I've recorded and I'm like, man, I literally can't think of anything. Or I get to the end and I'm like, that was bullshit. I'm like, I didn't talk about anything. So there's been a few I either have to redo or I just delete them. But for the most part, I just kind of just go.
Yeah. And has that changed now that you've got so many done? Has that kind of changed over the time of when you've been doing it? Or is it getting easier to, are you having less that you have to kind of throw out or try again? It's more, you're getting better at it as it goes.
Yeah, it's easier to just do the overall, like the muscle is stronger now, so it's easier from that standpoint. But what I'm finding is, which will be nice when things open up, is so much of what I want to talk about, and even my stand-up is the same, comes from things actually happening in life, right? And so a lot of right now, I have to look at the news and see what's going on, just because the day, not a lot of stuff happens just because of the, being in lockdown and that type of shit.
Right.
So once things start opening up and things start, I'm actually not just doing the same thing every day.
Yeah.
It'll be way easier because I'll probably have a list of things just from that day that happened. So I'm really looking forward to that. And then when I'm on the road again for stand-up, it's like, dude, I come home from a weekend doing shows and there's so many things to talk about. So this is the interim period right now where it's like, for me, a little bit painful with sometimes trying to find things that I can even go on about because I don't have a ton of experiences happening. But as soon as they come back in, that's where I really think the podcast will even get way better because I'll have just, endless things that I can even just share, basically.
For sure. And that makes a lot of sense. And I feel that a lot because that's something with podcasts in general, that's kind of, what are you doing in life that gives you something to talk about when you get on here? And it's tough when you either lose those things or you can't talk about, like, a lot of things for myself is I have a job day to day and I can only talk about certain amounts of it and let certain parts out. So there might be a work like today. If I could tell you about the day I had today before we hopped on and started being goofy and silly, and I feel a million times better. And I was actually kind of worried, like saying, just like, fuck, that kind of day, walking in with that kind of attitude and then to try and be silly right away. When what I loved about it was you came in silly right off the hop before the podcast even started and it just snapped me into it. But that's one of those things where people don't realize, they just see the end product of the podcast. And they don't realize all the other stuff that has to build up for you to get to that point. Right. So it makes sense that not having a lot of things going on in the world, that's why there's more of the news stuff. But then if something does happen in your life, we hear about it on the podcast, right? If there's some crazy, and if you see some weird dude downtown, we're going to hear about it. And I love that. It's so much fun to just kind of get that small snapshot of what's going on in your life. Or if there's nothing there, something in the news, right? Whatever's kind of piqued your interest. I'm curious to ask you about, just because it seems like your podcast to me, trying to find the right way to say this, and I don't want to speak for you, but I feel like when I listen to your podcast and when I listen to your stand-up, I feel like you might be the most authentic to your stand-up voice in your podcast. Like it almost comes through as if like some of those podcasts, and not all of them, you could almost like close your eyes and imagine that you're up on stage and this is a set, like this is a 20-minute set. And it seems so close to your stand-up. Do you ever worry about doing something on the podcast that maybe would have been better for this? I know right now there's not really any stage so that you can put everything into that, but as things open up, you get more onto that. Do you have any worries about that of kind of, should I do this on the podcast or should I do this on the stage? Or is that not mutually exclusive? I mean, you can kind of find it like Bill Burr does, right? He'll talk about something on the podcast and then take it to the stage and tweak it and change it and add to it and then build it into a bit.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Like I'm not that worried because I think it's actually a great engine for coming up with material.
Yeah.
And there will definitely be crossover between things that I come up with and talk about on the podcast that will definitely turn into bits on stage. And I don't think it's one or the other. I don't think it's like, oh, I have to choose. Do I want to talk about this on the podcast? Oh, then I can't do a joke about it. Cause what is the whole audience going to be like? Hey, wait a minute. Wait a minute. You talked about tacos on your podcast. You can't no, I don't worry about it at all. If anything, it will help. It helps my writing because it forces me to be a little bit creative and think of stuff.
Makes you flex that muscle every day.
Yeah, exactly. And even in a time like this rare, time where there's no performance and there's no stand-up, at least it forces me to still work that muscle,
right?
Which could otherwise completely atrophy.
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah,
if you're not doing that. It's interesting. And that's what I figured. I was kind of pitching it the other way just in case, but I kind of figured that's what it would be. And that's what you normally see with comedians that have podcasts, that they can use it as almost like a farm where they can, come up with bits and that. And I just thought like, it was already so funny. I was like, man, you are really like knocking these out of the park. Like they come so funny. It's going to be hard to add other layers. And obviously that's why they pay you guys the big bucks to do that and make it even funnier and take it to those next levels. I'm also curious just about, I really enjoy the podcast, and I don't want this to come across as if there's anything wrong with it. I'm just curious, with your podcast, I feel like we get very much a sense of, funny Todd, right? Like your comedic muscle, like what you talk about. And it's very true to your voice, like I said, but it's very much through that lens, and everything is funny. Like I said, the last minute in your podcast are almost unmatched from any podcast I listen to, right? Like it's so funny. I'm wondering, and I guess maybe this is a question I should ask about the goals of what you want out of the podcast, because I see what podcasts are able to be for some people. They can be different things. Like, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to gain an audience? Are you trying to do this? Are you trying to make the funniest things possible? Right? Like, I'm curious if some of the podcasts that you've done in the past, like the one you did with Brett and stuff, a lot, because it was more expanded out and it wasn't just small bits of just laugh, like so funny throughout that you don't get some of the more spices of some of the more serious stuff, or maybe more reminiscent of when I had you on the first time and we went into more of the deeper sides of the podcast and stuff. I think there's a lot to be said about that in terms of getting people along with this ride for you. I think I'm almost shooting my own theory in the foot because of how many people have come to me and said like, hey, I've listened to every podcast and I'm so in on it. But I'm just wondering if you ever think about also keeping this podcast, but doing another one in maybe a bit more long form where you can have a partner or something and talk about more things and make it be, anything you do is going to be funny, but more spread that funny out and let a little bit more other sides of the Todd come to people. So the other parts of the Todd to get to people. Do you know what I'm absolutely ham-fisting this explanation, but I'm trying to get it. I think I may have at least got enough of the blocks out there that you could figure out what I'm trying to say.
Well, first of all, that's how I refer to myself too, is the Todd. That's how I refer to myself.
Good to know.
Yeah, it is an interesting question. It's something I've asked as well, because doing the daily one is, and this is where I might make a change to the format upcoming, because the daily one is fun, but it requires sitting down every day. And when life gets more hectic again, and when I'm traveling, I'm like, will I be able to do that? So it's entirely possible that I may switch the format to, instead of a daily bite-sized episode, like 20 minutes, to a, maybe even a weekly longer episode. Yeah, it's entirely possible. I mean, I'm still experimenting around and just trying to find what is the most fun to do.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about it, and it might be something I experiment with. And I don't want to get locked into a format. To me, there's no rules with this stuff.
Yeah.
And so I'm not afraid to experiment and try something different. I don't want to be locked into the daily 20 minutes just because that's what I'm doing. So, but you're correct. I have thought about that because I think there is something nice to having the longer, where you can kind of breathe and stretch things out. And I do like to sometimes expand more on a particular subject than I'm able to do in 20 minutes. So
yeah.
We'll see. It's entirely possible. And it is something I thought of, because I do think when life opens back up here, sorry, my esophagus just fell out of my mouth. When life opens back up, it's like, it's going to be very challenging to sit down every day and do an episode. So
I bet. Especially after you come back from a weekend on the road, like that's going to be a lot to shove into 20 minutes. And that's something, maybe you do a longer one on Monday when you get all the road stories out, and then you can see, maybe you do a shorter one during the week or something, maybe drop one or two during the week, and then you go back on the road, and then it starts again on Monday. You have all the options. I love hearing that, because I think that is the best mindset to go into, that is with this podcasting realm with, is there's no rules. Let's do whatever. And to let it, you said it yourself, just find whatever is the most fun to do and let that guide you, right? Because so many people get so caught up in, there's a lot of numbers, I get lots of downloads if I do this format or this one, or this guy's doing that. You're never going to succeed if you're just chasing that. But if you just chase, this is really fun to do and I enjoy it, then the success will come afterwards, right? And that's what people are coming to. They're not coming to podcasts to see all these other guys. They're coming to see specific people for that reason. Exactly.
It's got to be something that you really genuinely look forward to. Doing every day. It's just fun, man. It's just a fun thing to do. So you're right. It's all about and that's what I'm still, even though I've been doing this since November, I guess, or whatever. It's been a while, right? Yeah. But I'm still, it's early on. It's a young podcast, and I'm still in the, experimentation phase of it. So we'll see. Things evolve over time, and that's kind of the fun part. And you have to be adaptable with anything that you do, and be willing to be like, all right, I'm going to switch it up. Even when, because you'll see that even with, even with the best podcasts, obviously, Joe Rogan is the, without being, you don't even have to say it, is the top podcast.
Mm-hmm.
But even his podcast, he changed to having more guests more frequently. You can see he's expanded into different types of guests. So that's the whole thing, is like, you want to see any podcast has to be able to evolve and change. And yeah, I mean, you can't be that afraid that you're going to start losing downloads, I guess. Right. I mean, unless you completely tank the thing, then maybe you should have been a little bit afraid.
Yeah. But that's the thing. It'll tank on its own. If you get bored of it and you just hold on to it because you're scared to change, it'll tank on its own, because people will feel that. If you're bored, people will feel it. I've had the luxury of never being bored on this podcast. That just hit the year mark, and I had released 75 episodes in the first year, and I had over, I think, like 82 recorded. And I think in all 82 episodes, I was bored on it once. Right. And I don't think, I'm
sorry, dude.
And I hope that,
sorry, bro,
people won't be able to even recognize what episode that was out of them, because I hope that I do a good job that I didn't show it. Right.
Say which episode it was.
I'll tell you after.
Okay.
Anyway. I just think that's such a good way to think about it. And almost the only way to think. I think if you try any of those other ways, like we talked about, you're just going to kind of run it into the ground or burn yourself out on it. Cause it's a lot of work too. If you don't really love it and really enjoy it and really have a lot of fun, it's not going to work. I've seen so many people that I know start podcasts just recently and then quit after like 4 episodes. Going, holy shit, it's a lot of work. Like, yeah, it is. You got to really love it, or it's going to fucking chew you up and spit you out. Speaking of chewing you up and spitting you out, another masterful, segue here.
You're a pro.
Maybe not the most appropriate one now that I think about the next question I was going to say. So I wanted to ask you about your chosen profession and some of the other things that come around with it, right? Like, being a stand-up comic is not the most normal of jobs, right? There's a lot of other things that come. Yeah, it might be surprising to some people listening.
I thought everyone was doing it.
Yeah, exactly. Right. That's how it feels like if you're me and you just listen to podcasts all day and all you listen to are comedians. It feels like everyone does comedy.
Yeah.
But where I want to go with that is having a girlfriend or a fiance in this industry where you're going to be gone a lot. It's very much putting your soul out there all the time and figuring out and finding your voice. How have you found that? Like, I'm curious of your personal experience, and then maybe of what you've seen around you, of how hard that is, because in listening to these podcasts, that seems like one of the hardest things to do is just, and maybe this is, movie stars and stuff too, but just at certain positions, it's hard to have people that they really have to have an understanding of what you're trying to pursue if it's not going to fall apart. And I'm curious how you found that.
Well, I got extremely lucky because my fiance has been cool with it since the hop, which is so lucky. And it takes a special, I would say even more than the person who's doing stand-up comedy. The person who's more special is the one who's able to somehow have a relationship with that person.
Exactly.
Because if roles were reversed, I wouldn't be able to do, it's such a selfish thing. And so to find someone who's willing to be like, okay, you're going to be gone every weekend because you are pursuing this thing. You're going to be gone most nights because you're doing this. That always comes first over our own travel plans or anything like that.
Yeah.
And to even be cool with that is insane. So I got extremely lucky, and my, like I said, my girlfriend and now my fiance has been more than supportive with it the whole time. And she was someone who, I can't remember how quickly into our relationship she found out I did stand up, but she's never been, there's never been any resentment with the travel, which is the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Or anything with, why are you going out tonight? Another open mic? Well, there's been none of that because she knows how important it is to me. So you're right, man. That's like, honestly, I just got lucky to find the right person who's willing to do that, because it is a lot for somebody to be in a relationship with someone like that. That's gone being gone all the time is the biggest one.
Yeah.
And then realizing that that's going to come first over a lot of other stuff. It's tricky. Yeah.
And then you add to that is not only is this dream that your partner is chasing, pulling them away from you, all this stuff. But then when they are there, you have to also be the person to build them back up, because there's not many things that will test you and tear you down like stand-up comedy can, right? Like, there's probably some weekends where you come back from a show and you're just like, I don't know why I'm doing this. Like, this is so crazy, right? Maybe not, but just in general with comedians, not only do you have to you have to put everything you want on hold to help prop up this selfish endeavor. And then you have to see all the negativity that and what it puts that person through. And you have to go through this complex of like, I know you love this thing, but look what it's doing to you. And then to put that happy face on all the time and support it wholeheartedly and not, say, well, why don't you just quit and all those things, I just can't. I'm in awe of anybody that can date a comedian and have it be successful. I just think those are the highest people. Maybe I should have got your fiance on the podcast instead of you, because I think it might be more
interview
impressive.
her. Yeah,
no shit. Hey,
she would have a more fascinating story about this.
Yeah, I bet.
Like I said, I don't know how she does it. I got extremely lucky, and she is the best. She's amazing. And there's no way I wouldn't be able to be with someone who didn't support it 100%. And I wouldn't be able to be as good at it if I didn't have the foundation of having her with me and knowing that she supports that. So now I've never had to do, like you mentioned, where I come home and I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? I've never felt, I can confidently say there's never been a point in stand-up comedy where I've ever felt lost or I've ever thought, like, why am I doing this? I've had shows where I'm like, this show was the dumbest thing of all time.
Yeah.
But I've genuinely never had a thought of like, is this the right thing? What am I doing? So fortunately, she doesn't have to deal with that type of crisis.
Right.
But what I would say is that she has relentless support. And what I think is the coolest thing is not only support, but she comes to my shows. And now, because, it's almost become our thing, because she's been around stand-up so much that she now recognizes when I do a show, I don't even have to say anything to her afterwards, and I'll be like, that was not good. And because she knows, right? She'll be like, that was not your best performance. And she knows which joke. She'll be like, yeah, that joke wasn't as good. I'll be like, right? Like that's the level. That's like the next level of support, where she's able to witness and call me out on, like, it felt like you didn't put the energy in, or it felt like the audience was shitty, that type of thing. And I think that's cool, because then you almost feel like you have a teammate who recognizes things that most people don't. I mean, there's shows that you do as a comedian where, for the audience, they would have no idea. They would think like, that was really fun, that was good. Yeah. But you come off stage and you just know, you're like, that was like 7 out of 10 for me. And she's very tuned in with that, because she's come to so many shows. And I think that's what's cool for her. Or sometimes she's even come up with some tags for me, or jokes. Yeah. She's like, you used to tell a joke different. I'm like, fuck, you're right. So that's the type of support where you're almost like, oh, I have a team now, which is just, man, it's awesome. And it's a huge factor, I think.
Yeah. And I think people don't realize that in so many domains, just what that is to have a real dedicated partner in it, right? Like, it's such a hard endeavor. It's such a selfish endeavor. And like endeavors that are that selfish, like a podcast or like a stand-up comedians or something like that, it's so selfish that it takes everything in you. And that's not enough. And you need support on top of that, because if you want to go where you want to go at a certain pace, right? If you don't have any support, you can still get there on your own. It's just going to take you longer, because there's only so much energy you have in a day, so many things you can do. But when you have someone that truly believes in you and adds their support to yours, it just opens up all these new lanes for where you can go. And actually, I think I'd maybe heard you mention on a podcast the types of things she does with you with the shows. And that's what kind of brought me to that line of questioning, because I just think that needs to be highlighted for people, that if what I'm trying to do is shine a light on what stand-up comedy is, a little bit more behind the scenes, what you don't see between, from the time the curtain opens to the time it closes, is those things, right? And I think it's applicable to other things, but something like stand-up, it is the peak, the highest example you can show of what you need in a supportive partner, right? Like, I just think that's awesome. And I'm so happy for you that you found that, and probably is part of the reason you're so good already, is having that. And I think that's, maybe a note that a lot of people should take in whatever endeavor they're getting into. Do they have that type of support? Maybe that's what's holding them back. You never know.
Yeah. It's such a tricky thing, because for somebody when they're with you to be like, how are you gone every weekend, is actually a reasonable human request. It's like, I'm with you. How are you gone? But that's what it takes. Right. So man, it's lucky to find someone like that. And if you do find someone like that, hold on, because it's so important, man. And by the way, I'll say this about her too, is that it's not like she's just supportive in the way that she tolerates it, or she's like, oh yeah, okay, well, you're gonna, like, when I do shows in town, she will come to every single show and sit there through the early show, the late show, the early show, the next day, the late show. And so that's the type of thing where you're like, wow, that's like above and beyond. Yeah. And so, man, if you got to get lucky. I don't know where to find them. I don't know. I'll ask
no
her.
Tips on that side. Hey,
I don't know. Get lucky. I'll ask her.
All right.
I'll ask her.
Well, I'm going to have to have her on and ask her myself, Todd.
You should. She could be your next guest.
hey, I'd be all about it. I'll take all the guests people want to give. I feel like people don't believe me when I'm like, I will, like, if anybody who's willing to come on, I will have them on. Like, I just love doing this and I want to get better at it. It's very similar to the, stage time when you're an up and coming comic, when you're in your first couple of years. I just want all the stage time I can get, because you can't do it in front of your mirror. It's just not the same. Same thing with a podcast. I can try those talking to myself episodes every once in a while, and those are good, but it's a different muscle. And I'm trying to work that one too, because I think it'll help. But the actual muscle of having a conversation with someone and making it interesting, and that, like, I can only get better at that by doing it. And I can only do it when people are willing to do it with me. So like anytime guests are willing, I'm more than happy. Another question I got, in terms of, I always hear lots about scenes, right? And comedy scenes, like the Denver comedy scene, the LA scene, the Austin scene now, right? Vancouver, Toronto, all these.
Right.
I'm curious to you, as someone that has dipped your toes into these different scenes and seen a little bit of them, what goes into a good scene? Like, is it just the people and nothing else? Is it clubs? Is it like certain dynamics? Like, what do you think goes into that?
Yeah. I mean, well, first of all, part of it's the infrastructure in the city, right?
For sure.
It's like, Canada's cool because we have these cities, Calgary, where I am, we've got 3 professional comedy clubs. Edmonton has 2, and then they have a bunch of like independent rooms that are running. And so that's part of a good scene, is just having the actual infrastructure to have shows, have independently run shows. That's huge. Yeah. And so when you're in a city where you can get up every night, that's a huge part of it, right? So that's what creates kind of a cool thing, because everyone gets a chance to perform and get better. So that's a huge part of it, is just having that. And then it's the people, man. And I think what I found is cool about, when you're in sort of, I haven't hung around a lot in, the bigger ones in Canada would be obviously like Toronto and Vancouver. And I've headlined in those cities, but I haven't hung around for extended periods of time, months, to really get a sense of what the scene really is.
Yeah. And you need almost a couple months to really pick it up.
You'd have to be somewhere for a while. Like when I'm based in Calgary, and then when I tour around, I'm in a city for, 3 days or whatever, maybe 4 if I add a show. So I'll get a sense of, but every city I go, I meet super cool people. There's super nice comics everywhere that you go. And so I would say Canada as a whole, if you look to Canada as a whole for scene, I think it's a very supportive scene. It's very, people are really nice, and it's not very cutthroat. I think there's still some, it's like anything, that stuff happens, but I haven't felt that up here, because I think part of it is just honestly lack of opportunity. I mean, there's nothing to cut other people's throats about. Right? We're not fighting over TV deals or that type of shit. So whatever, but I haven't sensed any of that, which is, you can hear like some of that stuff happens, and like LA especially, that stuff, as far as I know, that doesn't really exist up here, which is nice. And then it's really having people that are interested in comedy. I remember, being in Calgary when I started doing comedy, because I didn't know anyone else that was even interested, I was like, I might be the only person in this city who even wants to do this right now. I'm like, I know we have a comedy club, but it's like, I don't know, none of my friends do stand up. I don't know anyone who does it. I haven't heard of any, right? And then you find these local rooms that are being run, and then you're like, oh, this is cool. There's other people here that are also interested in comedy. And they're so interested that they're actually running independent rooms and open mics and that type of stuff. And that's what it's like this joint interest in comedy, which is something that's so big and small at the same time, because there's so few people who actually genuinely do it and are interested. I mean, in Calgary, it's a city of 1.5 million people almost at this point. And there's like 20 of us in this whole thing, about that 20 of us in this whole city that really do it regular and that type of thing. So it's a really close, it's like a tight knit thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting to hear you talk about the cutthroatness, because earlier when I made that point about, spouses and having to deal with those dark moments in comedy that I always hear about. And now thinking back about it, it seemed like I was surprised when you'd said that, because from all the podcasts I listened to, and all, like probably 100 comedians I've heard tell their story pretty in depth of the journeys and the ups and downs. And it seems like almost uniformly there's some really dark time and some and it's usually the business and the cutthroatness of it. But I'm thinking of it, those are all American comics coming up through the American scene. And if there is a little bit more stage time and a little bit more camaraderie and a little bit less of that cutthroatness up in Canada, that would make a lot of sense that the path is still the same. But then in following that, I would have thought if that was the case, there'd be so many more comedians in Canada, because I always thought, oh, down in the States, it's so hard. It's so cutthroat. That's what cuts all these people off. It seems like such a hard thing to do. And I figured if that wasn't there, I always had this idea in my head, is if America, if the entire scene down in the States could really bring it together and really Joe Rogan it up and everybody helps everybody, there'd be way more comedians. But if that's, maybe not exactly what I just laid out, but close enough up in Canada, and there's still only 20 comedians in Calgary, that just means it's a really fucking hard thing to do. And regardless what kind of experience, it's just tough, which I think also makes a lot of sense when you look at what comedy is and what it takes to stand up on that stage and put yourself out there like that. I think that's just a really scary ordeal. And not a lot of people have it within them to go chase that, right? Like, it's interesting to me.
Yeah. And that's part of it. But and another part of it too is just it's the number of people versus the stage time that's available, right? So when you get into a market where there are, 20,000 comedians, right? Like, I've heard from the guys that go down to LA, it's like, there's so many comedians because that's where everyone goes. Yeah. And there's such limited stage time. So then just by the nature of scarcity, there's going to be a lot more like people stepping over each other to even get stage time. Whereas what's different about, and what I've always loved about being based out West for comedy, is we have so much stage time per, like in the ratio to how many people are doing comedy, that naturally removes some of it, because there's not this mad panic of like,
stage
there's
time,
500 of us trying to get a spot tonight. Right now, it's still competitive and there's still limited time, and you still have to, fight a little bit,
grind and get up early and all that kind of shit that comes with it.
Exactly. But it's not the same thing where it's like, oh, I can't even get a spot. I can only get one spot a week because there's 8,000 people trying to get one thing. So that takes some of it away. It's just the sheer volume of people.
That makes a ton of sense. Yeah. And then another thing I always hear people talk, they talk about the scenes, they talk about, the journeys and all that stuff. But then another thing to talk about was the actual venues themselves. And I'm always fascinated by this topic because I always hear comedians talk in passing about it. And sometimes they'll get in depth on a certain podcast. You'll hear it. I'm sure I've heard it over the times of just what goes into a good comedy club. And I always hear a couple things, low ceilings, dark lighting, these types of things. I'm just curious for you personally, what goes into a perfect room? Like if you had, your druthers, you won the lottery and you got just gifted a comedy club that we're going to build for you. What actual layout, what kind of pieces, like, is it the green room that makes it for you? Is it the actual acoustics and the sound and the lighting, like they're talking about? What goes into the best kind of club for you?
Yeah. I mean, the obvious answers are what you already mentioned. Low ceiling is great. You have to have low ceiling.
It traps the laughs. I got you.
It's the whole science behind it. If you have a low ceiling, it compresses all the laughter, bounces off the floor and the ceiling. And the smaller it is, everything is contained. And that's the reason the low ceiling is great. And that's the reason why outdoor shows suck, is because people laugh and it goes to the moon. It doesn't bounce back down.
They're laughing at Jesus.
They go straight to Jesus. He doesn't even give a shit.
He didn't even pay a cover.
No, he gets free shows.
Bullshit.
And he's probably offended by all of it.
Maybe that's why he started COVID. He was tired of paying all these fucking cover fees at the comedy shows with all these comics coming up. And he's going, well, let's get these cocksuckers outside and laugh to Jesus.
That's right. He called up Bill Gates and he said, listen, dude, start cheating on your wife and let's create this virus. All right.
Exactly. I think we're solving everything.
Start banging these chicks.
Yeah.
And let's get a virus out here.
Let's get it going.
So low ceiling is good. And then I'm just trying to think of stuff that's not obvious that would have been said before. I think what I've always liked about a club that has a good intro is so important. And so the comic strip in Edmonton has this great video that they play ahead of time.
I love it.
It creates, so you've been there. And what that does, what I love is it creates an immediate atmosphere. It's loud, so it gets people to shut up. And then it creates this atmosphere of like, the show is about to begin. It's high energy and it's loud. So shut up, but also raise your energy levels. Boom. And it tees it up and it makes it professional and standardizes it in a way that it can start. So I think having some type of intro like that, especially the one in the comic strip, which is funny and it gets people in that kind of mood. It's the right move for comedy. Yeah.
And it says a couple things that, probably the MC or whoever's saying it should also re-say this, but I love that they talk about just those couple little things like the show is for all the people who want to see these people like talking about heckling a little bit, but in a funny way, right? It's in the video of just kind of telling everyone, setting the stage for what's about to happen and not just, you always hope that everybody in that crowd knows all these rules and is a decent human and isn't a fucking caveman, but liquor does certain things to certain people. But I love that at least it's almost like in the UFC, there's always, guy eye pokes. They give them these warnings and stuff, but it's like, at a certain idea, you should give a really good warning before everything happens, right? And that's the video at the start. You know what? There's no warning. This is your warning right at the start. We're not tolerant. We're on the side of the comic. And that's another thing. I was going to bring that up as one of those things, whether it's a video or somebody saying at the start of just the club being on the side. From what I hear is there's nothing worse than being a comic and just feel like they're on the crowd side, not the comic side, right? Whether it's a heckler, whether it's somebody, being obnoxious. That is so much that goes into it, is just being on the comic side. And I think that's something where it doesn't cost you anything to do that. That's free. It's up to you how you want to run your club. But some people, the dollar comes first and the comics come second. And I think what's nice to see is now, as comedy's blowing up, those clubs that treat it like that are kind of falling off the wayside. And these clubs that treat the comics as the highest thing on the totem pole, they're doing really well. And I love to see that. It just makes my heart feel good.
Yeah, I mean, that's important, especially if you have a rowdy crowd. You just want to feel like there is security, and you can, you have the club backing you, that if you kick someone out, they have to be removed, because it's so awkward if you kick someone out and they don't leave, but then they also like, you can't physically remove them, right? So if you kick someone out, if I say you're out of here and then they don't leave and the club doesn't have any security, they don't remove them, I'm fucked, because all of my authority has been taken away. And the fact I couldn't kick someone out, now the power dynamic has switched. And now it's with the audience, because they go, well, we don't even have to listen to this dude. He is I went from having all the power to nothing. So that's where that's really important. I think another thing with clubs would be having a green room is important, in the sense of, I know comedians should be hidden until the show begins, because it's like anything in show business. It creates the mystique and the mystery of the show. And it takes away from it when people come in, and some clubs, it's not their fault. It's just the nature of the building or whatever. There's nowhere to put a green room. And so you have the comics sitting along the back of the room or the side, right? And it's like, it takes away from the experience for the audience.
The mystique.
The mystique. I mean, imagine if you went to, like a concert, and the Foo Fighters, they're already sitting on stage when you get there. You're like, well, they're already here.
Yeah.
What are they doing? Or they're sitting like in seats beside the stage when you get there. You're like, well, and then they just put their guitars on and walk up and start playing. So that's where the green room is important. Just from, I think it helps comics get ready too. It's nice to kind of be isolated a little bit, but it's the being hidden before you go up is so important. You have to be. And another good tip I got one time from a club manager was like, sometimes you'll do shows and they have a buffet, right? They have a buffet at the club, or you do a corporate event, and it's funny, they have a buffet, right? Which is roast beef. For some reason, buffets are always roast beef every time.
You gotta have it. Is it even a buffet if you don't have roast beef? That's what I mean.
They might as well just say we have roast beef, and there's some other like hot potatoes and shit. And sometimes they'll say like, do you want some of the, do you want some of the buffet? And I always say either no, or I'll get it after, because there's, beyond seeing comedians before the show or performers, when you sit down and eat with the show, or dude, even imagine, like I said, you go to a Foo Fighters concert and you look over and Dave Grohl is there with a a fork eating roast beef. You're like, what the fuck are we doing? It ruins it, right? It ruins it. You can't be. So that would be my only, I don't know if there's comics listening, that would be my only tip is, one, try to not be seen if you can, and do not eat in front of the audience. I don't care what you have to do. If you have to go eat in your car, just seen doing something like that, so casual. It's just it's weird. I don't know what it is.
I got you. Yeah, no, I definitely noticed that, because I'm a big comedy fan. I've gone to shows in a lot of places, and when I went to New York, went into a lot of little clubs, hole in the wall clubs there, and saw some really funny people, and definitely the low ceilings, definitely felt it there, right? These little hole, and some of the laughter you got to hear there was awesome. And then the Village Underground, we went, I think, like 3 or 4 nights. Like, my family had all these plans. They said, like, what do you want? You pick a night. And then whenever I didn't want to do any of the things, I said, I'm going to go to the Village Underground every night I can and see as much comedy as I can while I'm here in New York, kind of thing. And they had that exact same thing, where when the next one was coming out, they kind of come sit, and I started to notice that. And everyone in the club just kind of watching whatever. But I'm sitting there at the comedy, and they're like, holy shit, that's Michelle Wolf standing right there. She's about to go on, right? And then, holy fuck, this is it. And I'm just sitting there half distracted, like still loving the show, but also half distracted by, I'm seeing someone that I really idolize, which is also cool, but probably don't need to be distracting me from the show, right? Like it was, and I was looking around, I didn't see anybody else freaking out other than me in the show. So maybe I was just the only one that was a little psycho in there, but who knows? I think there's definitely some merit to keeping them hidden, like you say, though.
Yes. Now that said, here's something that I will do is you want to be hidden, especially when the audience is coming in. But once the show begins, if it's dark, I will go out of the green room and I'll hang in the back of the room to watch the show.
Yeah.
Hidden, because I like to see what's going, there's comics.
You feel the energy and.
Yeah, because I want to know what's happening. I want to know what's going on before I go on, because, some comics will show up like literally at the time of their set and go straight on stage, and you can pull that off. But my fear with that is always like, especially with audience interaction, is I want to know what's been touched on. I want to know who's been talked to, because it's never more embarrassing than like when the headliner goes up and he points at some guy, he goes, "What do you do?" And the audience has to be like, they already talked to him. Because then it's like, oh, you're not even, there's something about, because then the audience realizes like, oh, this guy wasn't even.
Yeah. Did he just show up or what? Yeah.
Why does he not know we already talked to that guy? So I like to know little things like that. Yeah. And also because if something funny happens, it's nice to use that to riff when you go on stage. So, but yeah, I love to do that. Once the show has started, I will sneak to the back, because you also want to feel the vibe of the room too. You want to know ahead of time. It's like, oh, this is a great audience. It's going to be a little harder tonight. Do I have to adjust what's going on here? Right. So,
right.
Yeah.
That makes total sense. Yeah. Like some waitress could have face planted and, broke her nose in an earlier set. And then that same waitress drops a plate of glasses and the whole audience.
I want to know that.
Yeah. Right? You want to know that. And you could be left out of the joke. Everyone could be laughing because this is the second time the same chick has had an issue and everyone's laughing. And you're laughing like, what? I think I know what you're laughing at. You just want to be aware of everything. You're the maestro of the show, right? If there's any sort of thing that's going on outside of your control, it just throws off your rhythm. You need to be aware of everything and have as much control over it as you can. You're never going to have full control. That's also the excitement of what stand-up is you're never fully in control, but you get to make that mystique of control, be around people. And you've already listed so many ways you can, trying to kick somebody out, getting seen at the buffet before the show, that can fall off and then you're up against it. And I'm sure there's comedians that can have it. And even through all that adversity, they're just so funny. They can plow through it, but you don't ever want to make something that harder on yourself if you don't have to. You never want to do that.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Yeah. It's just nice. It's nice to know so much of, having a good set is being able to groove with the temperature of the room and recognize it. And I just see it as when you go out beforehand and you can kind of get it, then you're going on stage with that already.
Yeah.
Like when you go on blind and you have no idea what's happened up to that point, then you have to try and assess it on the go. And it's just, it's just a lot harder to do. Right. So,
last time on the podcast, we talked about the 10-year comic and how the evolution of finding stand-up is kind of, having your favorite comic and kind of copying what they do until you find your voice and you kind of go on that path. But I never really followed it up with who was your comedic inspirations? Who are your guys when you were a kid coming up that you just thought were the best? And then who are the guys right now? Like, has that transition? Is it the same people? Is it new guys that you watch now? Like, who's your favorites?
Well, the guy, Dane Cook, as much shit as that guy takes, was the guy who stood out for me because he blew up right around the time a couple years before I was able to do stand-up. So it was the time where I was like, I knew I was going to do it. I was already super interested in it. He starts blowing up. And so naturally that was the main guy I was watching at that. And I was right in that niche because his demo really was like teenagers for whatever reason. Right.
Yeah.
And that was my age. So I fell right into basically his demographic. And that was the big guy for me at that time. Because it just seemed like that guy he was taking over the world. He was and he was unique and he was very different and he was hilarious, man. And so that was the guy, and that was the dude who I remember when I went on stage in the beginning, because whoever you go up, like whoever you watch the most leading up to you doing stand-up, you naturally sound like that person just because it's just what happens, right? So
that's what stand-up is to you at that point, because you've never had your own relationship with it. You're just going off what you watch. Yeah.
It's like anything else. If you watched, I don't know, one golfer, right? And then you start golfing, you're going to naturally emulate what they're doing because it's just what you've seen. So he was the dude who I remember when I first started, I sounded a lot like him. And a lot of my jokes would be physical like him because I hadn't found my voice yet. But that happens to everyone. It happens
for sure. That's natural. And I think anybody gets too caught up in that is just going to do themselves their own harm, because it's just part of the process. You just got to get through it and get to the next level.
Yeah, like I would just say, don't in the beginning, it's like, don't even worry about it, because that's just part of you. Whatever you need to do, whatever gets you on stage. Yeah, that's what happens. And I can even watch new comics now and I can tell immediately who their influences are. You can see it's like, oh, that guy, there's a guy that I watched him, like Norm Macdonald. He listens to a lot of Norm Macdonald or shit, I'm blank. Who's the super handsome guy that kind of does the he does like the twists, the kind of darker jokes, but he does twist. Jeselnik, right? There's a lot of
yeah.
that I see, right? And it's just because the era, Jeselnik was big, especially a couple. So you could see guys who go on stage and like Jeselnik. That's who they listen to.
So there's a lot of Delias out there.
There was a lot of a lot of Delias. So that type of stuff.
I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of Burrs coming up here soon, and
yeah. And I would say now my favorites right now is Bill Burr is top of my list. Tom Segura.
Oh yeah,
is top of my list. Those are the two. I still like Gaffigan, even though I haven't watched his specials lately, was like the best show I've ever been to.
Oh yeah.
So those are the ones that pop into my mind.
Who's the hardest you've ever seen kill? Like
Gaffigan.
just one. Yeah, Gaffigan. That was it.
No, it was Gaffigan and Stanhope.
Oh,
Stanhope got did we not talk about this last time?
We might have. I honestly forget. We very well could have, but who cares?
Stanhope killed so fucking hard that he had a standing ovation like before he was even done. Like when the audience sensed it was ending, there was a standing ovation. And by the way, it was an organic standing ovation. It's kind of a hard thing to explain, but if you have a big enough fan base and you go and you do a theater show, it's almost an obligatory standing ovation.
I know exactly what you're saying. 100%.
Because people are just going, all right, we're huge fans of you.
Yeah.
You delivered.
Paid a lot of money for this. This is amazing.
Ovation is assumed, unless you completely fuck it up. It's like the standing ovation is coming. Not to say they don't earn it, but it's like, it's definitely going to happen. Right. Stanhope got a standing ovation and he should have had more of a standing ovation. Like he just killed so hard. The energy was, I've never seen energy like that in a room before.
Where was it?
It was at the Laugh Shop in Calgary.
Okay.
It's hard to explain. It was like the energy was so, it was just weird. It was like so magnetic, and it's just everything he did. Everyone was he just drew you in. And the funny part was, so anyway, he's the hardest I've seen crush, and he got the standing ovation at the end. And you're like, yeah, man. When he got off stage, it was genuinely a feeling of like we could do this whole nother show again. Yeah. Everyone in there would be, if you said everyone, would you want to do another hour listening to this? Everyone would have been like, let's go. Like it was genuinely sad when he was done. He was amazing. So he was the hardest I've seen crush. And then the hardest that has ever made me laugh was Gaffigan.
Yeah.
And that might have been because it was one of my first comedy shows that I ever went to. But man, I remember he crushed so hard. It's like this guy comes on stage and he was just making a sound for some reason, and it just knocked everyone off balance because no one was expecting it. And so he's laughing, and then he just kept like hitting us with these jokes. We're already off balance, and it's like he just keeps hitting us, and it's almost like we're a boxer that keeps trying to get up, and and then he keeps hitting, and you're just like, holy shit! And everything knocked everyone off balance. That he had to. I remember after like 5 minutes in, he had to like kind of slow down and let us take a breather.
Yeah,
because people were like rocking in their seats, man.
Yeah.
So that was still, I think, the hardest I've ever laughed at stand-up. And I was like, man, it was So he's still up there for one of my favorite. And he's clean too. And he did it all clean, dude. He did it all clean, just like doing his Gaffigan, that voice thing, air jokes.
Man, I saw, again, we might have talked about this last time, but we saw me and my buddy Bill Burr in Phoenix during ATC Fest. So like all these drunk people playing like beach volleyball and all this stuff. They have this whole area blocked off, and then he plays the theater down the road. So it's everybody going in there. Everyone's drunk. Everyone's been at the theater. Everyone's huge comedy fans. Like it was just, everything came together. And like, I've never had it where like almost you're laughing so hard you can't get enough air in to laugh more. Like you're actually doubled. Like they always joke about like actually doubled over laughing like that. And the entire theater, and he's tearing on the actual theater and how it's set up, and like, oh, it was just such a masterful performance, and like just the level of crushing it in that room. Like I feel like so many people don't understand what that really is, because you see comedy on TV and you're only getting, I don't know what they always say, 70% of what it is. It's still hilarious, laugh your ass off sitting in your own living room, but there's some catching that energy wave and being a part of that is just next level. And I encourage so many people to go do stand-up. And this is, one of the big reasons I want to get partnered with some sort of comedy club with this podcast is like a sponsor or something, because I just want to get more people into just experience stand-up, not a certain stand-up, but just stand-up in general. Obviously, I have my favorites and I'd like to point them towards those guys for sure, but just in general, just to experience that. If you've never experienced a really good comedy show, are you really living? Like, fuck, like how do you compare all this stuff? Like, oh, that was a funny movie. How do you know? Like, you don't know what funny is. You haven't been to the people that dedicate their lives to funny, right? Like
it's
like
a completely different, I'm trying to think of even an analogy for that. It's almost, I don't even know what a good analogy is, but stand up on TV is like, I would say 20% of whatever you see on TV. If it's funny, just know that the people who are in the audience watching that, you could multiply it by literally probably 5 times. It's just the feeling of being around people, having that contagion. There's no other experience like it. And it still does blow my mind to this day. After shows, when people will come up to me like, that was my first comedy show. And I'm like, what the fuck? How is this your first comedy show? What? It's like people like, this is my first time on an airplane. You're like, what? Where have you been?
Yeah, I know. And then you look at me, like my dad took me to see Russell Peters when I was way too young to go see Russell Peters at the old Rexall in Edmonton. Like,
oh yeah.
Right. Like, and it was the funniest shit I've ever seen. Right. And it was just like next level. Like, you don't even understand that human beings can be this funny. Right. And to get to see that. And I think that was one of the reasons I got to go, is because it was at an arena, right? So there's not as many rules, the drinking and all that. You can go see a show, right? Once it's outside of the club, it's a different experience. And that was so cool. And I was grateful that I got to have that experience, that my parents were cool enough to bring me. And then after that, I think we went and saw Russell Peters every time he came through, right? Like that was just, once you see him once, you're not going to not go to a Russell Peters show after you've seen him live, like it's just, it's one of those things.
Yeah.
We're already over an hour here, but maybe I'll wrap it up with one or two more questions here.
Sure.
I'm curious. Last time I didn't really get into goals and kind of what you want out of it. I mean, and I found with comics, I hear a couple different things. There's guys like Andrew Schultz, where if you ask him, he will tell you to his face, my goal is to be the best stand-up comedian. I want to be the GOAT. I want to be top of the top. Podcasting is great. TV, all that stuff, that's great too. And I want to enjoy that. But my goal at the end of the day is to be the best stand-up. And then there's people that just say, I just want to make people laugh. If that's through my podcast, if that's through stand-up, that's fine too. Like some people would really want to get on TV. Some people want to do this. I'm curious for you, how do you see the dream playing out? And like, what are you aiming at? And what pieces of this journey that you found already do you think are ones that you're going to take far and run with it? I don't think I'll ever give up stand-up comedy, but maybe the podcast is something that feels the same way. Maybe it's a couple steps down from that. I'm just curious, kind of your goals going out in the future.
Yeah, is a 2-part thing. One is the from the art side is to be the best stand-up that I can possibly be. That is the most important thing of anything that I'm pursuing.
Right.
And that's what's fun. And that's what gets me excited, is thinking about becoming as funny as humanly possible and realizing my potential as a comedian. That's really my whole thing. I would never have started or kept doing stand-up if I didn't think that I could, reach a high level with it. So that's it, is realizing my potential, becoming as funny as I possibly can, so that when people come to my show, they leave and they go, Jesus Christ, that was good, right? Like, holy shit, like people losing it. That's what I want, is when people leave my show, I want them to go like, that was an insane experience. And that's the fun part of it. Yeah.
One of the best parts of seeing a good stand-up show is 4 hours later when you're out partying and drinking, you look at like I always go to lots of comedy shows with my best buddy Chase, right? Like I brought him to tons of comedy shows, even when he doesn't know the comic, but just be 4 hours later and just look at each other. Holy fuck, how funny was that? Like just that moment where it's been hours, you've been drinking, you've been to 3 bars since that show, but it's just like, did that really happen? Was it that funny? Like you almost can't even believe it. And it just sticks with you almost for days. Like it's almost like you could be 3 days later around the pool, like for that Bill Burr, right? Like we'd be later in that weekend and we sat there, holy fuck, was Bill Burr funny? Like that was nuts. It almost like attaches to your soul for a couple days, couple weeks, right? And that's that feeling. And I've never done it, but I would imagine that is some sort of next level feeling to know that you've done that to people. Like that is so cool.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. Well, I think the mark of the mark of a really good show is that you laugh the whole time and you have really good, you have fun. The next level, and that's kind of where the magic is like when you leave a stand-up comedy show and you and all your friends the whole way home are recalling the jokes that you like the most and laughing again. Yeah. That's the sign of an amazing show. That's the sign of amazing stand-up comedy. And so from an artistic standpoint, that's my number one goal, is to create the best stand-up that I possibly can, and have a body of work that reflects that.
Yeah.
It's someday I can look back, when I'm probably lived to about 63. So when I'm 62, I look back and I go, Jesus, that was good. I'm proud of the work that I did. That's my number one goal.
Yeah.
And I think that should be the goal of any art, whatever. Stand up. The most important thing is to be funny. Before anything else is to be funny. So that's my artistic goal. And then from a career standpoint, my whole goal is to be able to sell tickets and then tour as I want to tour. That's all I want. And so
freedom of it.
Exactly. To build a fan base and then be able to go, all right, I want to lay out dates for the next year and a half. I want to look at my calendar and go, I'm booked for a year and a half. All of these venues are sold out. And whether that means those venues are clubs or they're theaters, whatever, that's what I want, is just to be able to go here's where I want to go, sell tickets and be in control. That's the most important thing.
Right.
To me. Live in an age where you can do that.
Yeah.
But that's the ultimate pinnacle, because to me, it would be extremely fulfilling just to go, I'm doing my best comedy. I'm at the top of my game. And I'm also able to, I have people coming out to see me. I mean, I could not be happier than that. And then just go like, I'm making my money. I have security. I've got things booked for a long time out. And I have my fan base that wants to come out and see me.
Yeah.
That's my whole thing. That's the dream to me. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's super admirable to hear the framework of how you're looking at it, because I think, it'd be very easy to say, I want to sell this theater. I want to do that, and not to say there's anything wrong with those goals, but I love hearing people frame them from that point of, putting their own happiness. This is what this is what I'm going to enjoy out of it. This is the aspects that make me happy of this process. And I'm going to maximize those, right? The freedom aspects of it, those kind of things. And it's so great to hear you talk about it through that lens. I'm just curious, having all that said, like, you nailed the good answer, but now for the fun stuff, is there any certain theaters or any certain areas, like, is there any, I would say these are less goals and more benchmarks along the way of things you'd like to hit along the way to getting to that point of what you just described, having all that freedom. Is there certain things of playing certain shows or getting into certain areas? Is there any of those kind of on your list of benchmarks that you'd like to get to along the way?
Yeah. I mean, one big one for me is having a TV spot. And so that was booked pre-COVID at the Halifax Comedy Festival.
God damn it, Jesus.
So that should be, I blame Jesus, but that should be on again next year, I'm assuming. So that is something I want to tick along the way.
Cool.
And then I can't think of any, it's funny because I used to have these aspirations when I was really young about, I'd love to be on SNL, or I would love to be on an episode. And it's so funny. It's like the older that I've gotten, the more everything is just stand up to me. Everything is, I don't have any, like, there's no acting aspirations. There's honestly, even if I could sell out shows and just have people come out and I can just tour forever and do comedy and make money doing it, I wouldn't even care if people knew who I was. As long as I had enough people, honestly, to have a fan base that will come see me. And if that's like, even if that's like overall 100,000 people, but no one else knows who I am, I don't give a shit. I'm just happy being able to tour around and sell out shows. So yeah, it is weird. I can't think of any other, I'd love to do, festivals are really, that's not true. Yeah. Just for Laughs. Just for Laughs is a huge goal of mine that I would love to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, doing festivals specifically just for Laughs, I've always wanted to do that. So that's a benchmark. That's probably the biggest one that I can think of. Yeah.
And that's kind of, I was curious to hear what you'd say, and everybody's different, but definitely things like Montreal are huge and have a lot more cachet around them, and probably even more so the legacy of it is probably even more so than the actual step in the comedy, right? And what it used to be in the step of a comedian's path, like it used to be way bigger than it is now, probably just because of all these other things rising up. Not that it has lowered by any means. There's just other opportunities, other festivals. And it used to be where Montreal was kind of the only one. And if you wanted success of the traditional sense, it had to go through Montreal. There wasn't really any other options for you, in the 90s and the 80s. And I think that's cool to see that it still has that value and still, draws you in. And the reason I was kind of asking all those questions was to get to this last question of just, if you see what's out front of you, where you want to get to, what types of things other than what you're already doing, because you're already doing it, you're podcasting, you're grinding, you're getting on stage, all those things are the big ones. But do you see anything else in your path that, a move or anything, like, do you see yourself, living out the rest of your career in Calgary? Do you see, are you one of those guys? I know some guys, New York's their mecca, and they, I'm going to do 15 years and I'm moving to New York and then I'm chasing that dream, or Austin or LA or any of these things, or Vancouver, Toronto. What do you see in terms of next steps along the career that you're going to have to take to get you to those goals? And, or are you doing everything you're going to do right now? You don't really plan on changing. You're just going to ride this out to get you there.
No, I mean, there's definitely more that I have to do. Everything that I'm doing right now is centered around creating and finding my fan base and creating a following. Yeah. That's everything. That is the key that will unlock everything that I want to do. Because 100%. Like I said, if I just can reach enough people and bring them with me and have a community that supports me and wants to come see me do stand-up, then I can sell tickets and then I can tour. And that is the entire thing.
Yeah.
Everything is centered around building a fan base because it unlocks everything else. Yeah. So when it comes to geographically, do I need to move? If that's what I need to do to build the fan base, then I would consider it.
Right.
Most of what you do for building and finding your following is virtual and online anyway. So that's where I go, like, I might not have to move.
Yeah.
Right. But the biggest steps for me is continuing to improve my podcast because that's a big reason I'm doing that is for my existing following, but it's also to reach more people.
Yeah.
I'm also trying to get way better at social media because that is such an obviously it's a huge avenue for marketing to people. And I still feel like I haven't grasped how these fucking algorithms and this shit works, dude.
It's wild.
Like,
and it changes all the time.
I don't understand anything. Like, so even on Instagram, I edit together these clips, right? And I put them together and I do the subtitles and I try to make them look really good. And they get a lot of likes and shares and it's great. And then some fucking guy sends me his, is like, hey, I really like your stand-up. And I go to his profile and it's like, he's got 3 photos with a motorcycle and he's got 50,000 followers. I'm like, what the fuck is going on out here? So that's the thing where I think it's just learning and it's just going like, this is a tool. I just need to figure out the game of that.
Right.
Because I hate, like, I wouldn't even have social media if I wasn't a comedian or it's just for marketing.
Completely.
That's my biggest things, man, is like just reaching. I have to reach as many people as possible. So that's why I appreciate you also having me on the podcast because you have a following as well, and it's great to reach these people. And I think if it comes down to it, I'll just box Jake Paul.
There you go.
Or,
it's a good game plan.
The other one, Logan. I'll box both of them, dude.
Yeah,
that might be what I have to do. I don't know.
Take them on both at once.
That might be what I have to do, dude, just to get these.
With your cardio, you got it, baby. I know all day. Oh, we didn't even talk any running. I just got my first Camelback this week. I'm feeling like a real pro.
Okay, let's talk running real quick. So what are you now? You got a Camelback. So what are you running? Are you an ultra marathon guy, or what are you doing?
I mean, not yet. I'm training. Got to get a couple regular marathons in before. No, I just run because I'm fat and I love to eat food. That is 100% the reason.
That's really why you run?
100%. Wow. So I can eat more, right? Like if I don't run, and I enjoy it. Obviously, I enjoy it. That is the impetus. You want to get real about why I run. That is 100% why, right? Like huge body issues growing up always. And I talked about this tons on the podcast, so it's whatever. But like definitely was that of growing up always, was worried about myself and all that. And then getting to a certain age and then going to university and, packing on the freshman 50 and, and kind of having to tighten that up and just be where I want to be. And
right.
And that just kind of started running and I get something out of it. And then I realized what I found is once I stopped running, it was like, oh, I didn't realize what I was getting out of running. I just got into running for, just the weight factor pretty much almost, purely aesthetically. Then once I stopped running, I got to find all the mental health benefits, all the, just the drive and the push to push yourself almost. Like there was all these other things I was getting that I didn't realize. And then once I stopped running and got back into it, I started to recognize those. And now there's all these factors that go into why I love running. But if you want to back it all the way up to the start to where I started and getting into it, purely aesthetic. And I'm fine about that too. That's a good enough reason as anybody else's, right?
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that. It's so funny because, for some reason, this whole thing, right? It's like, whatever motivates people to work out, is a completely legitimate reason. And everyone now, right? Like when they work out and stuff like that, it has to be cased in this, like, I didn't lose weight. I only lost weight because I wanted to get healthy and have a healthier soul. It's like, dude, sometimes you just go, I want to lose weight because I want to look sexy. There's nothing wrong with it. And people be like, that's vain. And you're like, okay, who gives a shit, dude?
Do you know how much of society has been pushed forward through vainness? Do you know what we have because of vainness? You don't want to knock vainness for all it's worth, right? Like, you don't need to index into that 100% for all your life and have that navigate your life. But you don't need to just denigrate it, right? There's a lot of things that has given us. And I think that's something more people just need to keep in mind when they're throwing their stones around in their glass houses. Bastards.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with like if you listen, if people start working out because they want to have a healthier soul, or they want to live their truth, or they want to live, laugh, love, whatever the fuck people say, good. But if you just look and you're like, I want to look better, that's a completely why is that not legitimate?
I want to look less shitty, right? Like it's not even I want to look
why do you
look less like, bad.
Why do you brush your teeth, right? It's like, well, I just wanted to, it's for me, so I can really understand myself. Oh, or is it because you don't want your breath to smell like shit, and also you want to have white teeth? That's a completely fine reason. So anyway, no, I think that's good, man. And I started running right when everything locked down out of necessity because the gyms shut down.
Yeah, you were a weights guy before, hey?
Weights guy. I always thought running was like dorky, stupid. People running in the winter, and I'm like, what are you doing? You're a psycho. And now I'm that guy, man. I just fell in love with it. I went for a run. I remember my first one was 3 kilometers, and immediately I was like, oh, I'm going to be doing this a lot now. It just feels, I don't know. I like it. It feels good to me.
And it's that almost that feeling of pushing your, what I loved about it was, same thing. Like when I started, I was so bad. I kind of always thought there was some sort of base that you'd never drop below in terms of cardio. Right. And I think I got that from the time I was a little kid to the time I was, you're always doing something, right? Like you're playing hockey, you're doing something, you're always getting a little bit of cardio, but you don't realize it. And then you actually have the first time in your life where you're doing no cardio ever. And then you try and get into running and you try and run for a minute. And it's like, I never thought that would be a difficult goal, right? Like there's no way you should never be able to not be able to jog for 5 minutes straight. Right. But that is tough. And I had to break it up, like at the start, like doing like 3-in-1s, like run for 3 minutes, walk for a minute, run for 3 minutes, walk for it, and being so embarrassed and so like, I just felt like shit about myself. And you go through that. But then there's a time where you get up to the 5 kilometers and you're doing that and you get that pretty good. And then the first time you run 7 or you run 10 or you hit that next milestone of just that, because your body's never really been there. And that feeling of, like this feels a little bit different, but I accomplished it and it feels good, right? Like I've done this and I've accomplished it, and it might have hurt a little bit, but just that rush you get. And then to try and find that next, like just recently, I just on a whim, I don't know why, I just decided to try and beat my 10K PR, right? Like I think I saw you post about 10K PR a week before or something. I wanted to just see what I could do because I had no idea how fast I could do it. And when I got home and what I saw, what I accomplished, like that feeling is, I don't know. It's something special. I haven't fully articulated my thoughts around it yet, but like there's something to that running and pushing yourself. And I'm sure this is the same feeling you get if you did any other kind of endeavor that you push your body a little bit, but I love it. And then now it's just almost, there's certain runs like that where you get something out of it. And then the rest of the time, I just feel like I love listening to my podcast or my music. And I feel like my life is so busy. I don't get that opportunity. And I know that regardless of what's going on in my life, I'm going to be able to just put my headphones in, listen to music or a podcast and just have an hour to myself where I don't have to talk to anybody. And now I get that out of it. And I usually, a little bit of feeling good, but I usually don't get the real positives that got me into running of that adrenaline high. That only happens very rarely if I'm really pushing myself or if I'm doing a long run on that day. Like a run is a run, and I don't really get that much of it. It's evolved into this whole different thing where it fills a completely different niche. And it's still amazing and still gives me a lot, but it's completely different than what got me into it now. It's interesting.
I agree. I think it's very interesting. And I think it's addictive in 2 ways. Like you mentioned, one is that you're making progress and it's so easy to track. And that's what I like is that it's very objective. It's like I ran my 10 kilometers in this time. I kept training, and I did it in this time now. So objectively, I'm getting better at something. And when you get better at something, you focus on it and it makes you feel good because that's just natural human nature. When you're progressing and growing, that's what feels good. So to me, it's like this positive feedback cycle of I'm doing something that I know is good for myself. I'm getting better at something. So that feels good.
Yeah.
And then I'm also getting the endorphins from doing this thing. And you're right. It's like your own me time. So,
and you look cool.
You look cool as shit.
Tarps off. Not me, of course.
You're ripping by people.
Yeah. That is one of the fun. I must say that is one of my funnest parts of running, of just the secret joys you get when you see a guy ahead of you and you're reeling him in. You get the fishing rod out, you just cast it and you're just sucking him in. Like that is a feeling that I have not found anywhere else in my life other than that. I don't think.
So this is, dude, and I'm glad you mentioned that because this is like low key secret runner talk that nobody knows about.
Yeah.
But there is no better feeling than passing a guy.
Yeah.
There's no better feeling because now David Goggins calls it taking their soul. And that's what I think every time. I'm like, dude, it's so funny because I did not realize I had that in me. Like, I know I was competitive with some stuff, but when I see people, all I do is I go, I'm going to chase you down and I'm going to pass and I'm going to speed up when I pass you too. And they probably don't even give a shit. But in my head, I run by and I like to think they're thinking like, fuck, I should quit running. Like, I like to think that when I pass someone, they immediately stop running and they never run again.
And they give up.
It ruins. And then they start abusing, drugs and alcohol. And they sort of just give up and they go, that guy passed me and I realized my life is bullshit.
Yeah. I don't have a soul anymore. It was snatched. It was snatched, really.
Yeah. It is funny because some of the runs I'll do, an easy run where it's like, I have to go at a slow pace. I have to. And that actually takes a lot of discipline. You have to go at this pace. And I'll start it, and then I see someone up ahead. I'm like, "Fuck this pace." Pass them. Fuck it. It's so. And you're like, "But why?" But you're right. It's there, and you're like, "I want to pass this."
Yeah. There's no real reason for it. You could be dead tired. It could be, because sometimes you run if you run 10 kilometers every day, sometimes that's gonna feel really easy. Sometimes it's gonna suck. Like still, even though you do it every day, just whatever you ate or whatever mix or whatever is in your head. Sometimes you're just not feeling it. But that doesn't matter if you run up on someone or the opposite. Somebody passes you. I always say, if you pass me, I put the hook in like I got a rope. There's a 10-foot rope and you're not getting any further ahead of me. You just pass me and you can't just get past and just immediately pass. You got to put a little bit of time to make it look right. So, but you're not putting any more distance, right? You get ahead of me. I put the hooks in and I'm right behind you. If you start sprinting, I'm going to start sprinting behind you. Like I'm a wild man. I am now chasing you to the death, right? Like we have entered a soul bond here and I'm never giving up unless you quit running or unless you completely I don't know about you, but I've gone on some different runs than I planned on down some really weird paths that I had no idea where I'm going. Just to chase somebody down. Of course. You got it.
Why do we have that?
It's deep. I don't know. It just comes up, right? Like, I don't know.
Dude, I've had a few too where I get pissed off at people in my head because I'm chasing them down. And then 100 yards from where I'm about to catch them, they stop their run and they start walking. And I just go, you little bitch.
Yeah, exactly.
You little bitch. Because now I'm going to pass you, but you're going to go, it's because I'm walking. And I go, no, I was about to get you.
Yeah.
I was about to get you.
Yeah, exactly. So the worst one was there's a sportsplex right by my office, right? And there's a running track that I used to always go because there's, 5-minute drive, just change quick, get on the track. And you can do, back then I used to run 12 kilometers a day because I didn't have the, drive home, change and all this with COVID. I could just go right there. Right. But now I can only do 10 because just enough time in the day. Anyway, but every once in a while, this track team from somewhere in Grand Prairie would come train there. And that, even though these are trained athlete kids, that doesn't stop that inner thing to turn on of that competitiveness of chasing people down. So now you're out there with these sprinters and these runners and you're trying to catch them and run around. Oh, every time I'd notice them coming in, it was always the same times, it's just this is going to be a deep one. This is supposed to be an easy run. This is not an easy run. My pride cannot take at least showing, I don't know if secretly I'm waiting for them to give me an invite on the team or something. I don't know, but something in me is making sure that I am putting a admirable performance out there to show for myself.
Yeah, it's so weird, man. It's funny you say I have the same thing. I don't know. It's obviously it's all ego and it's stupid, but it is hilarious that we're just you can't, because you want to show them hey, I run too. All right.
Yeah.
Keep passing me out here thinking I'm knee knocking. All right. I run too. On.
Yeah. It's so funny. So silly. I mean, I say it's the worst of the track, but definitely the actual worst was when I used to go to Orange Theory Fitness. I don't know if you heard of them. It's kind of, they got treadmills, they got rowers, and I've
heard of it. Yeah.
And they got weights. The competitive juices that would get flown with me in there, and the owner of the gym who I was close with and stuff, he played in the WHL and real fit guy, does a bunch of Spartan races and stuff. And every once in a while he'd come in and he'd always grab the treadmill beside me. And I was never beat him once. Came close a couple times, but just could never. And he was the same way, just because he didn't ever want to compete. He would just couldn't let me beat him. And I was always trying to beat him. So it always just elevated us both. And we'd be running full out sprints, the treadmill's up like this on an incline. And we're both sprinting on this thing, but I would get the best workouts because it was just that whatever that competitive nature was just locked in that situation where you're never going to let anyone beat you, whether it was him or the other guy. I was always picking someone in there that nobody's beating me in here. And that just tied in with whatever's deep inside me. Some sort of traumas I haven't processed, who knows? But man, it worked for a long time. And that's probably one of the best shapes I've been in my life was fucking when I was going there every day. Ooh.
Very, very healthy, dude. Very healthy. Dude, I almost died at Orange Theory one time because I went in there and they, for anyone who doesn't know, it's just the orange is they have these different color codes for where your heart rate is.
Yeah.
I think blue is it green is resting, blue is low, Orange is they're saying that's like kind of the golden zone.
Yeah, that's a fat burning zone, and then red is above that. Red is above that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So green, orange, red, and then blue is below your.
Yeah. So we're going, and the whole class starts, and they put everyone's colors up on the TV screen, so you can see everyone's thing. Anyway, so they say like go into what's the one just below orange? Is it green or whatever?
Green is where you're starting, right? Like you're not blue is like 30 beats a minute, like you're almost dead. Like as soon as you're in there and start doing it, you're in the green. But then orange is like when you're picking up and you're actually like working, it's orange, and like red is when you're full out sprint. Right.
So they're going. Okay, so everyone's in blue, right? And they go, okay, get up to green. Let's just start moving. So everyone gets up to green. Mine's still sitting in blue though, right? And I'm on the row machine, so I'm like, okay, well, I'm just not working as hard as everyone else. So I'm going, and I'm still. And she's like, hey, everyone go up to orange, and I'm still in blue. And I'm like, all right. Well, so I start going pretty hard on the row, right? And I get up to green, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on, right? And I look around, and everyone, I'm like, I'm working way harder than I don't know what's going on here. And I'm at this point, I'm just giving her because it's like it says my heart rate is like not even 100 yet. It's like 90 or something. So I'm not even in orange. Everyone else is in orange, and she keeps coming over and chastising me. She's like, hey, you're in shape. Let's go. Yeah. Like as if it's an effort thing. Meanwhile, I'm rowing like this, like insane. I'm sweating profusely and I can barely move my heart rate.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? So eventually it's like everyone is in orange. I can't even get into it. I can barely get my heart up to 110. And she comes over and they check my heart rate, and the thing was like malfunctioning or some shit. It was so they put it on, and I'm in red. I was redlining. My heart rate was like 185.
You should have sued them.
The rest of the session, I'm like dead. I have no energy left.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, sorry, sometimes that happens. I'm like, really? Sometimes you almost kill people?
Bastards.
That's the moral of this episode is I'm suing Orange Theory.
The moral is we're suing Orange Theory. We're double wrapping our tacos. COVID was Jesus' fault. Compare yourself to dead people.
And blow us back to normal, dude.
Fucking rights. You know what? I don't even know why I do this podcast. I should just give this podcast reins to you and you run it from now on because you got this thing down. You're the pro. You're the professional. Thanks again for coming on.
Thank you.
I always have a fucking ton of fun chatting with you. You know, this is what I love is having a shit day like that and just coming in like, I don't know if I can be silly. And instant I saw your face, it was full on silly and I'm feeling good again. And you know what? Thank you for that because I needed that today. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you. And I apologize to everyone for the sweat on my face right now. We're in a heat wave and my office has been about 35 degrees this whole time.
Yeah.
If anyone's concerned, I'm okay.
Beautiful.
But I am sweating.
Yeah. And dates coming up. You got into announce? I know. I'll fuck. Look at me go. I was forgetting everything. And Nessin Around is your podcast. Check it out. It's on Spotify, Apple, all the places. Go check it out.
Deezer, dude. Are you on Deezer? It's on Deezer, whatever the fuck that is.
I've never even heard of Deezer, and I heard of everything.
Nobody knows. I'm on Napster too somehow. So Nessin Around podcast every single day.
Yeah.
I'm at Calgary Yuck Yucks August 13th and 14th, and I am at Edmonton Yuck Yucks August 27th and 28th. Dog.
Beautiful. Well, we'll definitely get some people out to support.
Come on down, man.
There's going to be nothing holding me back from getting there on that show in Edmonton. Maybe even the Calgary ones too. You know, I'm going to be there, and I'm going to be laughing hard, Todd. Hard, I tell you.
Good.
And go watch your special working comic. It's on Spotify. It's on your YouTube page. Go check it out. Funny as shit. I laughed my dick off. Like I said in the last episode, my girlfriend had to come check on me in this office because I was laughing so hard and she had no idea what was going on. So go check that out. Anything else we missed? You got a mailing list?
No,
none of that old shit. Not sending people.
Add me on Instagram,
pigeons.
guys.
Oh,
add me on
Instagram. Yes, great follow on Instagram. Love
I'm
the
an
clips.
Influencer,
dude. I feel so influenced right now, Todd. I don't think I've ever been this influenced before.
Fucking influencing.
You might even say I'm under the influence.
See, that's how hardcore it is. My Instagram handle is the @sign, the A with the circle around it, which is at.
Okay.
It's on your keyboard right above the number 2. Push Shift 2, the @sign, and then Todd M Ness, TODDM, as in
Michelangelo,
magic, and then Ness. N-E-S-S.
Is your middle name Michelangelo?
I can't give away all my.
Can't disclose. I'm gonna go on record as my guess is Michelangelo. Todd Michelangelo Ness. Thank you for being here. If your middle name is anything else, get that legally changed before we add the next podcast, please. I don't want to ask again. And
it's Eminem. Yeah. It's Eminem. Todd Eminem Ness.
Todd Marshall Mathers Ness. Yeah. Oh, perfect. Awesome. Well, thanks again for being here. That was so much fun.
Okay, bye, everyone. How do we? Bye.
Bye. All right. Thanks for listening to another episode. That was number 85, I believe. Hope you enjoyed that one. Just listening as I went to do this outro here. I just listened to the last 5 seconds of how he said goodbye, and it just made me laugh all over again. So big shout out to Todd for coming on again. Had so much fun with him. Like I said in the intro, I don't think he probably even realizes how much I needed that conversation on that day. But it's funny how the world works and just kind of delivers to you what you need when you really need it. So that's great. Like I said in the intro, if you could go check out Todd when he's near you, he's going to be in Edmonton and Calgary soon, and he should be going all over the place as soon as it opens up to allow that. So hopefully you give him a follow on whatever social media you want, his website, all that stuff, and just go see him when you can, and please let him know that you heard of him here, and also go check out his podcast, Nessin Around. It is so funny and just that comic relief that you need. That is, you're going to laugh. You're going to laugh at some silly shit, and you probably won't have to think that hard. And it is so nice. I love it in my rotation. It's really hard to crack my rotation of podcasts because I have so many thousand that I listen to, and I hate having to make choices to not listen to any. But for whatever reason, Todd's got that special thing, and he's beat out a lot of really established people that I really enjoy their podcast to listen to his. So if that means anything to you, maybe go give it a chance, whatever my recommendation is worth. I do listen to a lot of podcasts though, so yeah. And again, sorry if I sound rough or if I can't even think straight in the intro. I had a long weekend of debauchery and fun and meeting people and just letting it all hang out. So apologies for that. I'll be a little bit fresher, I'm sure, on the next one, and I'll probably start seeing you guys just on Mondays till we get maybe more into August, and I can get more episodes recorded. We might go back to some double releases, but we'll see. Either way, just keep it posted here. Thanks for listening. Tell a friend. Do a handstand. I don't know. I'm tired. I need a nap. All right. See you guys.